kids. It's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
You know, after many, many years, I've gotten used to the sound of my own voice. I hated it for a while, but puberty didn't hit until like I was 25, and now it's fine.
Hey, guys. We're here today to talk video games.
I mean, right up until I graduated college, I talked like this all the time.
Same.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the SML podcast. I'm your host, Joe. This is episode number 360, and that means that, if anything, it's got to be Xbox-centric. And we're going to start off old school. Kris Huber, you're here. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm ready for the inevitable snow shitstorm that we're going to get tonight.
Oh, God. I'm not looking forward to it.
I mean, what's great about that is I can use that time to play Trials.
True.
So
on your Xbox 360 or on Xbox One?
Well, on the one, because the new ones, or the Blood Dragon is Games of Gold. So now I can play that. You know who can't sympathize with our weather plight at all? Who's that?
People from California, including one of the creators of, to date, I think is still one of the best games with gold we've ever seen. Mika, creator of IIII, you are back on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and with that kind of intro, it makes me all warm and fuzzy because you're talking about IIII, aren't you?
I love IIII. Yeah. Who doesn't love IIII?
Oh, there's a list of people.
Well, those people are on the wrong side of history, and they're not.
They really are. And Mike, every time you're on, we always need to have someone else, a professed lover of Xbox, because Dragon Fantasy still isn't on Xbox One. Adam Rippon, figure skater, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
You were just here like a week ago.
I know. I feel like this
it was
is too
2 weeks.
soon. This is too much.
Something like that.
We got to tone down the Rippon.
Okay, I won't put your name in all caps in the episode title this time. Does that work?
Yep, that sounds like a good plan.
But you guys are not alone, because save the best for last. Chris Charla, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
It is an absolute honor to have you on. For the people who are not familiar with who you are and why I'm so excited, tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Chris Charla, and I work at Xbox, and I am with the IIII Xbox program, which is Microsoft's program that helps get helps independent developers self-publish their games on Xbox One and Windows 10 with Xbox Live.
Nice. So what exactly is your role there?
I'm the director, so I basically just tell everybody they're doing an awesome job, and then go out and meet developers and meet with people inside Microsoft and go to a lot of meetings. It's fun.
There's this one guy. His name is Adam. He has an RPG.
I know.
You guys have known each other for a while, right?
We've known each other a long time.
Wow.
And I'm sure that Adam could program a game for Xbox One. I have no doubt. I have no doubt that it's not an ability problem.
Yeah, you know, the thing is I like to rub it in Joe's face. It does run on the Xbox. I haven't had the time to sit down and, do a video game release.
That really is the funniest part, that it works just fine.
Yep. Doing the Street Fighter and stuff, I'm busy. But if you
Street Fighter, I get it.
Yeah. I understand you have a day job, but Xbox One is here, and when you are ready, we're ready too.
Look, Adam, I'll give you 2 days off to get it sorted out if that's what you need to do.
That's plenty of time, right?
That's one more day than is necessary.
I mean, I want to make this happen. This has got to be the time. You have 2 days off work. That sounds like plenty of time. You said it already runs, right?
Yeah.
So now what's your excuse? Laziness.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Lazy. I mean, if Mike's serious, I'll give it a go.
Seriously, let's first, when you come in tomorrow, let's talk to Steven and make sure that that's okay with him. But I think that's possible.
Mike, you're writing checks your ass can't cash right now.
All the time.
Joe, when's your birthday?
March 18th.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You're late,
You got
Adam.
some time. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll fast track it.
Yeah. See, I keep joking around that I'm thrilled. My wedding anniversary is the 16th, and Burnout Paradise is coming out. And then my birthday's on the 18th, so that's going to be a crazy weekend for me.
Mm-hmm.
With St. Patty's right in the middle.
Oh, shit, that's coming up, too. Holy crap.
Right? Dude, this year is flying by.
Mm-hmm.
Flying by.
What kind of fun stuff has been going on with the ID program this year so far, Chris?
A bunch of games have come out, and a bunch more games are coming out. Right now, we're just getting ready for GDC, so it's been super, super busy with that. We always try and have a lot of we show off a lot of games at GDC in a couple different venues, and so getting ready for that. And Microsoft tends to make a lot of announcements around GDC. Getting ready for that, it's just been super busy.
This is like the perfect time then, because nobody listens to this podcast, so you could actually tell us what you're going to be announcing.
And no one will ever know.
Nobody would ever know.
If you want to keep a secret, say it on this podcast.
Yeah, this is the place to do it. Like 2 people will listen, and then they'll fall asleep and forget.
Mm-hmm.
They already fell asleep at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, but
all right, don't tell anybody.
He's an affiliate.
I'm not streaming. We're not streaming right now.
But there's a couple people now.
Maybe. Anyway, stop cutting off Chris.
I'm sorry.
Keep this under your hats, but Train Sim World is coming to Xbox One on March 9th.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, Train Sim World is really, really cool. Like, it's
That
huge
is
on Steam.
actually really awesome.
Pretty stoked.
I'm actually interested in that one. We covered Railway Empire on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I saw that one, and I reached out to the developers. I'm still fingers crossed we're going to hear back on that one. It looks really cool and relaxing, and I'm not like fucking around with that. It really does look cool.
No, it's awesome. And then we've Darwin Project is coming out, which is going to be
that's cool.
That's going to be super, super cool. I don't know if people are familiar with it. It's similar to a Battle Royale game, but it's way smaller player count, so it's a lot more personal. And it happened in this like icy area, and so you kind of have to keep you have this constant decreasing resource of just like being not freezing to death that you have to work on. And you end up with like these, and you can also set traps, which is really cool. So you end up with a lot of really cool scenarios that just develop organically when you're playing. It is, if you like other Battle Royale games, I think you'll really get into this one, because it basically
that's a little bit more of like a survival aspect.
Yeah, it's got a little bit more of a survival, but it just feels like you're basically starting in the end game. So if you're like me and your favorite part of a Battle Royale game is hiding in a closet while other people die, maybe not the ideal game for you. But if you're like somebody who's actually good at video games and likes actual competition and doing stuff, then I think Darwin is something that's really, really cool to check out.
No.
Yeah, there's a handful of streamers that have been obviously going pretty deep into like the PUBGs and Fortnites and stuff like that have been like dabbling into Darwin Project, and it's cool. Like, it's definitely like, I know some people kind of have like a different opinion on like the surplus of Battle Royale things that have been emerging, but at the same time, like, I think there's enough projects that are approaching it in a slightly different way that gives it a completely different feel. So like, I know some people might be off put by like, oh, another Battle Royale, but this is cool. I dig it.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool because, I mean, when I think about like, if you think about the big Battle Royale games right now, PUBG is super realistic, and, Fortnite is really fantastic, and, Darwin adds, kind of the survival element, and, so I think that like it's kind of a cool genre in that there's a lot of different niches within the genre that I think players are going to be able to find homes in. So I think that's actually really, really cool. The other game I super want to give a shout out to, and if you guys haven't played it yet, like, definitely need to, is Deep Rock Galactic.
Which I've been hearing so much good about that game.
So it just shipped into game preview, and there's another one I want to talk about too. But just shipped into game preview last week, I think on like last Friday or something like that. And it is awesome. So it's basically 4-player co-op. You're dwarves, like space dwarves. You get dropped onto a planet by a dropship. You have to hit these mining challenges. Of course, you get attacked. Everything is hostile. Controlling light is like really important, which is kind of like a new gameplay thing. And then you inevitably run into the situation where like you got to get out, and the clock is counting down to when the dropship leaves, and you got to like get out, and like your drill is overheating, and if you're me or any of the people I play with, you die. But it's it gets just super stressful and like really fun, and you get that you get that whole like, oh, it's all going down kind of panic moments, and it's almost like, I don't want to say it's like pure like Leroy Jenkins kind of that kind of panic, but like almost that level, just like craziness going down like in almost every game. So it's super, super fun.
That sounds awesome.
This was definitely something. This was something that was on my radar. I didn't know that it was already like early access, but like available to be played, because I saw there was a trailer on it. Was that E3 or something?
Yeah,
like that?
so it was on stage at E3 this year.
I wish I would have known, Chris, because Cole is covering that one for the show.
Oh, well, I mean, hey, whatever.
Yeah, if I would have known.
I'm still down to like throw him a couple bucks and support him. So.
Yeah. I'm dying to check that one out myself. I wanted to jump back a bit quick. The Mixer integration into Darwin Project. What was all that about? Because I remember seeing that at E3.
Yeah, so Darwin is going to have like amazing Mixer integration to the point where folks who are streaming it can have like people in the stream like really interact with it interact with the game in a really meaningful way, and so it's kind of like a great proof point for some of the cool things you can do on Mixer.
Do you think that might
cool as Carball? That's the thing. Joe, you played that.
Oh, jeez. Mike, for people who don't know what Carball is, please give us the sales pitch.
Actually, it is cooler than Carball, what's going on in Darwin Project. But I wanted to just point out, like, Mixer does a lot of really cool stuff. And, like, one of the experiments we did before the holiday was to create a game called Carball, where we just have any number of cars on ice on two sides of, like, a hockey arena trying to slide a ball, curling style, actually, across the line on the opponent's side. And it's kind of like Tim Rogers' video ball in a way and that sort of thing. And man, that thing was stupidly fun. But it's like you can directly control everything through Mixer. So the players are the people on the stream. And I think that's just like points out how compelling Mixer can be for these games.
Yeah, you had a lot of fun. How many other games were you showing off on Mixer? There were like 4 or 5 different ones you had that I saw.
Yeah, we had high latency kung fu. We had like this tech tank game. But we were doing all this stuff, and it's like, and then big boy projects like Darwin are taking that to like the next level. So it's kind of neat to see how much you can do with Mixer that's really hard to do on Twitch and do quick enough, because Mixer has a very low latency, and so that stuff is just like coming through really rapidly, and it's just neat seeing like people playing for real through a stream that are just audience members.
So, Mike, could we see a full downloadable version of a high latency kung fu coming to the ID program?
I'm sure Microsoft would love showing off the low latency of Mixer with high latency.
No, like it could be played completely offline. It's just every time you press a button on your controller, there's a 1 second delay.
Yeah, see, that's better. That would work.
I think that would be a really frustrating but fun game to play at parties.
Well, like Deep Rock also has a bunch of Mixer integration now, and Chris, is this something? It seems like almost every game now coming out has some layer of Mixer support.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, it's really easy for devs to implement the Mixer SDK. Whether it's not just for Xbox, obviously they can put it on PC games, they can put it on any game, PlayStation, Switch, whatever they want to do, and it's really a Microsoft technology more than an Xbox technology, and then just get going with it. And it's really the challenge isn't so much the implementation, the technology. It's just like figuring out what's going to be cool with your game.
I didn't realize it was for like Switch and PlayStation and stuff too. That's so I could integrate it into the project I'm working on right now?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's a platform independent technology. It's
wow.
I mean, the way to think of it is it's a Microsoft technology. And, it is platform independent.
Huh.
So,
cool.
so Adam, are we going to see Mixer integration into the VR version of Dragon Fantasy? PlayStation VR version?
I'm thinking more, some of the other things that work on the mic based things, but
Mike is not a Microsoft technology.
Yeah, Mike is not.
Microsoft.
Microsoft.
But I mean, we were playing those little dumb demos we were making around here for Mixer. Like, I would just leave it on, and I would go home, stop, get gas, and pull my phone out and play the game with other people on my phone. It goes everywhere. And this is like, I'm on iPhone, somebody here would be on Android, and somebody's on web, somebody's on the Xbox playing. It was kind of crazy.
And it got popular in there too. There were a couple of times I was in there with like 10 other people playing.
There's people who come in and be like, "This is stupid," and leave, but then they would come back.
Like, I can't believe you nerds are still playing this.
Yeah. What are you doing here? Oh, I scored because you suck.
Oh man! Awesome. So, what other recent games have Mixer integration?
Well, we mentioned Deep Rock, and I would imagine like more of the AAA games. I think are probably. I saw some stuff recently that was talking about the Mixer integration there. And Chris, I mean, I don't know on the indie side, but I would imagine like almost everybody's kind of throwing something in.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that are doing it. Unfortunately, I don't have a list off the top of my head. But or if there's some that maybe are doing it, haven't been publicly announced, I don't want to be the guy to publicly announce it for them.
Is it safe to say there's some good surprises coming in the future?
There's some super cool stuff. The Mixer guys are doing some really neat stuff. So, yeah, super excited to see what they bring.
Yeah, without giving anything away too, like they're on top of like evolving it constantly, like at a faster rate than I'm used to seeing for this sort of thing. And so it's kind of neat when like stuff we built in November now is almost obsolete because there's so much more we can do with it now.
It's ridiculous how fast technology just goes these days.
Yeah, especially once people start using it, you're like, okay, you can sit there and just rest on your laurels and let other people overtake it and have the same idea and go further, or you just got to keep running full speed. And it seems like that's what's kind of going on here. And, I was just at DICE recently. I went to the award show, and Chris, I know Cuphead definitely took home, at least how many awards did that get? 1 or 2, 3?
All of them?
3.
3. And was there any other ID at Xbox titles of note that I'm missing when
there were some that were nominated. But yeah, Cuphead was like was the big winner, and it was super cool to see. And there's a bunch of ID games that are nominated for the IGF awards. Not ID games. Sometimes we use that shorthand. It's really not appropriate. Should say games that developers are shipping through the ID program because they're not our games. It's like, sorry, I'm normally a stickler for that, and then sometimes I do it. That's all right.
You're just proud of being able to build a platform for them.
It's okay. Yeah, no one will hear that here.
There's a ton of cool games that came through the ID program. They're going to be the IGF games, like obviously Cuphead and Tacoma. I think Celeste might be up for a couple things. I'm not sure if it is or not. Maybe it came out too late. But yeah, there's definitely some cool games that are in the IGF every year, and it's cool to see how many of them are also on Xbox and how many of them are coming through the ID program.
Well, that was like, I think what was cool for me being basically an indie developer here. We work on some commercial stuff, but we're also working on a lot of indie games, is that seeing that indie games can go up against AAA titles in the same competitive categories like for award shows and that sort of stuff. It's just like, it's now like, it's been years in the making, but it's just like, it doesn't matter. There's no difference really anymore. Like some of these games are bigger than some of the best AAA games that the franchise you've seen now and stuff, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's harder and harder to define, what is an indie game, quote unquote. Like, I try never to use the term. We just talk about independent developers, and more we just talk about developers, and like the world's changing. It's changing super fast. And so at least from our perspective of Microsoft, we're just trying to make sure, every developer can have success on Xbox, from huge studios, like the world's biggest studios, to giant independent studios, medium-sized independent studios, single people making, dragon-based RPGs, and even down to folks who've never shipped a commercial game before, because we have the Xbox Live creators program on Xbox, and like literally anybody can just like use a retail Xbox, download a bunch of free stuff, Visual Studio Community, free version of Unity, and just like get going, and then ship their game on Xbox. It's actually incredibly cool to think like if you were in high school right now and you were motivated, you could just get going and get a game commercially available on Xbox, over spring break or whatever.
How well has the creator program been doing so far?
There's a ton of games out on it, and there's a lot of variety. I mean, there's like, it's not a curated program, and so there's, I will say, just different levels of polish on the different games. But
I think that's a
good way to put it.
Way of putting it, yeah.
But it's a fun place to go and see some interesting things, see some cool things, see some weird things, and and I like that. I like the fact that Xbox is an open platform, and personally, I also like the fact that we've maintained this curated store experience that I think players expect, but we also have the creator section where you can go and just like it's the Wild West.
Yeah, kind of like the old 360 indie game section.
Yeah, it's a lot like that.
How many massage simulators are there so far in the creator collection? There were so many of those on the 360.
I have not seen any on the creators collection.
I am very happy to hear that.
My kids still play on the 360 their favorite from that era, which was the Try Not to Fart game, which was like that button matching game where you're in different situations. Like you're in the elevator and you're trying not to fart because there's a pretty woman next to you, and then like you're at a restaurant trying not to fart. It was awesome. They play that still with their friends.
Oh my God.
And I missed that gym. I might have to...
And now it has a home in the creators program. It can come out there.
Yeah.
Different levels of polish. The game I really liked on Creators Program, there was I can't remember what it was, well, there's a bunch, actually. Bloody Checkers is one that a lot of people still talk about. I think Scapegoat might have been Xbox Live Indie games on 360. And there were a couple of like LCD, simulated like an old 80s LCD handheld game like Dungeon Crawlers that were really fun.
Cool. Hey, since I haven't gotten to say this for a while, can I just say, man, I friggin' loved Scapegoat. That game was so good.
It really was.
Your little mouse friend is like the greatest sidekick in video game history.
Totally.
Oh man. So
in something or other. Anyway, yeah, great game.
What, Adam?
Oh, the guy who made it. I'm just trying to remember what his last name is, and I can't off the top of my head.
One of the only complaints I really hear about the Creator Collection is no achievements. Has Microsoft considered re-looking at that stance?
Not really, no. Because it is a totally open program, what we don't want is like hey, give us $1 and press A to get 1,000 gamer score. So we don't. It's unlikely that'll happen. But there's no there's nothing blocking a developer who makes a game in the creators program from bringing that game through IIII Xbox if they want to implement achievements and gamer score, online multiplayer. On the 360, there really was kind of, was like a little bit of a cul-de-sac if you were making an Xbox Live indie game. There was kind of no place to go. But on Xbox One, there's no blocker at all. If somebody, makes a game, even ships it into the creators program and then decides like, this thing's performant, this thing is looking good, I think I want to get it, get achievements, get gamer score, get it in the main store, like absolutely they can bring it through IIII Xbox.
How do they make that jump? Do they just like hit you up and it's like, hey, my game's on the Creator Collection, let's do this? Yeah.
That is literally almost exactly what happens. They just go to xbox.com/ID, join IIII Xbox, and just sort of submit it as the same way you'd submit any game. And then there's some, once it's approved and everything, there's just some back-end magic that happens. It'll move it over to...
Back-end magic. I like that term. Oh, man. That really is a good term, just back-end magic for all the mystical stuff behind the scenes. So for the people who transition from creators to the ID program, how does someone get into the ID program? What are the steps that people have to take to get in?
So to join the program, you just need to, like I said, go to xbox.com/ID. There's a form to fill out because we're a company. And it just basically let us know who you are, what your studio is. And then once you do that, you start getting newsletters and stuff. And then when you want to get going, get some hardware, get a game out, Again, just tell us like what the game is that you want to make. We do concept approve the games the same as we do for any other game on Xbox in the main store, and then once the game's concept approved, you sign your publishing contract. We send you a couple dev kits. I think right now we're sending devs an Xbox One dev kit and an Xbox One S dev kit, so an X and an S, so they can develop for both, and then you're off to the races. It's like, make the game. You have access to all the documentation, like everything, somebody from a, AAA, retail publisher has access to, you have access to as part of ID. When you get closer to shipping, we have folks that help you get through CERT, help you understand like how the rating systems work, that kind of thing. Provide like a lot of documentation, even more documentation than typical Xbox. We kind of have some, go here first, go here second type of documentation. And then we also work to provide like just like promotional amplification. So, obviously developers, the publisher, ultimately marketing is up to them. But, one of the places that Microsoft has a lot of resources is exactly in promotion stuff. And so we'll try and make sure that, games get mentioned. ID itself has a bunch of resources, like a blog and Twitter and Discord, and we stream. But then we also use like Xbox Wire, which is like Microsoft's official Xbox news channel. The Major Nelson, AC Bongos, the official Xbox Twitter, the official Xbox Twitch and Mixer stream, everything like that. So, and then at E3, I think we do a really good job making sure that we surface a lot of cool independent games for people to see, both on stage and playable, and same at other shows throughout the year, whether it's PAX or Gamescom or EGX Res or whatever.
Adam, are you taking notes?
He's given me the old spiel a few times before.
So why do you keep forgetting it?
Before I rejoined Digital Eclipse, I was gonna sign up for it myself, but then Mike scooped me up, and I didn't have as much need to directly publish my own games anymore. So started focusing on those games about punching. And
so, are you blaming Mike that Dragon Fantasy is not on Xbox?
No, I'm blaming. Yeah,
I'm blaming Mike. Fuck that guy.
He is.
Mike's terrible.
So read between the lines. It's there.
Well, it's no secret. I'm a pretty horrible person.
Yeah.
But,
pretty much. I mean, you come on this show enough, we're wearing off on you, Mike.
It's true. It's true. The older you get, the more you're like, you know what? Why put on the facade of being nice? Just tell people like it is.
Mm.
Yeah, very true.
But sometimes it's like you have to bite your tongue. That's why I'm kind of being quiet.
Chris, a couple of months back, I was talking with a guy about his game, and I asked if it was on Xbox, and he said no, because he hadn't been in touch with anyone from the Xbox team or ID at Xbox, and I tagged you in a tweet, and that game is Cat Quest. Has there been any communication there?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I think no at this point. Chris, are you there?
Cat Quest. I think I played that.
Oh, sorry, am I muted? Was I muted?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Well,
like,
there you have it.
Topic.
And so, so glad we were able to iron that out.
Okay. Yeah.
No, sorry, I'm drinking a lot of tea and stuff because I have a cold, so sorry about that. I can't say, like, honestly, like, we do get tagged a lot on Twitter about a game, and we would typically try and reach out to the developer and see what's going on and make sure they're able to come to the platform. But like, until developer announces their game is coming to Xbox, like, it's not my place to confirm or deny any game that's coming to Xbox.
Makes sense.
That's really up to the developer. So it's sometimes it's frustrating because there have been situations where games coming to Xbox and we know it's coming to Xbox, the dev knows it's coming to Xbox, and people on Twitter are like, "Where's this game? Where's this game?" And and we don't say anything. And it's not because we don't want to tell people. It's just because it's not our place to tell. It's up to the developer, and there might be all sorts of reasons, whether it's business reasons or just like marketing or PR reasons that they don't want to talk about it yet. And so I'm sorry. I wish I could give a better answer than that.
I totally understand. Yeah. I didn't know if that went anywhere because my fingers have been crossed for that one. It's cats. I love cats because I have way too fucking many of them. And then I love RPGs, and I'm dying to see more RPGs on Xbox One. But like dragons.
Adam
and
understands what you're saying.
Well, no, it's just a general. I think gamers out there can agree if there's one genre that Xbox is lacking in, it's RPGs. And I think indies have been picking up the slack a lot, but there's just so many more that I want to see on Xbox. So my fingers are crossed for this one.
Yeah, I agree. I love RPGs. Excuse me. I love, especially JRPGs, and so the more we can see on Xbox, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Nice. So, do you have any standout highlights over the entire ID program so far?
Man, that is really hard. There's been so many good. There's been more than I think when you include both Xbox One and Windows 10, there's more than 700 plus games that are shipped. If I start to name some, I'm definitely going to forget others. But just some recent ones. One is Pit People, which just left game preview either this week or last week, which is the game from Behemoth. That's their follow-up to Castle Crashers and BattleBlock Theater, and it is
it's insane. It is batshit crazy.
So compelling, and just like the opening cutscene alone, like honestly, just like the first hour of gameplay alone is worth the entire price of admission, and it's way, way, way more than an hour of gameplay in that game. I mean, it's so much in there. So that one I think is just amazing. Obviously, Cuphead, super excited about. It's been awesome to see how much success Studio MDHR has had with that one.
Did that blow even your expectations of what the game was going to do?
Yes.
It seemed that just exploded. The people are giving it Game of the Year nominations, and it's insane. The game has just exploded.
Well, the amazing thing about it is, first you have this game that's doing this art that just has not been done before in a video game in, forever. And it's never been done like this before, right? Like, I know I used to work on, some games back in the handheld days where the animation would actually initially be done by hand. Like somebody would just animate it on paper at an animation table, but then it would be scanned in, and you do everything you could to obfuscate the fact that it had hand drawn and try and make it look, like pixel art. So this is the first game where, every frame has really been, hand drawn in pencil, then inked, then scanned in, and, they took no shortcuts. Every single animation has, completely unique, frames, and so that is bonkers, right? Like anybody would do that.
They went the extra mile, and it paid off visually in every way.
Absolutely. But then you actually play the game, and this is their first game, and they nailed the gameplay and delivered a gameplay experience.
It's amazing.
That's it feels like, somebody at Nintendo made it who's been making games for 20 years. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Just how tight the controls are and all the metrics, and just, you should ask Mike about this because he's
yeah, it's
awesome.
awesome.
The person to talk about platform game design on Earth, probably. But it's just unbelievable to me how much they nailed the gameplay. Completely irrespective of how bonkers and amazing the graphics are.
And that was one that was in development a while. I'm guessing that was one of the games that people will be like, "Where is this one?"
Yeah, but it's just one of those ones where hey, at the end of the day, they should just ship it when they want to. And they had and they've talked about this publicly. They had an initial idea of what the game they wanted to make, and then they looked at kind of reality, and they came up with this sort of scaled back boss rush version of the game, and that's kind of what they sort of were working on at the time we first showed it at E3. But then, based on the reaction of everybody who saw it, they were like, we're going to go all in. We're going to make the original game. We don't know how this game's going to do. We don't know if we're going to get to make a second game. Let's make sure that this one is really the game we want it to be. And so then they went back to their original idea. So it ended up taking longer than they first thought. But I personally, I don't stress about that. There's so many good games that come out every year. There's not some need for games to ship early, in my opinion. I'd rather play a game when it's done than when I feel like it.
Absolutely agree.
And I think I think there's always going to be more than enough of a market of people that are going to be interested whenever it eventually does release. So I don't think that necessarily like hurts. Like, I would rather see a company take the time, make the game that they want to, instead of just like, oh yeah, let's just get this out so we can start making another one. Like, it's, the games, when you can see that they're passion projects and they put a lot of time into them, that's when you could really see a game shine. And I think that's like Cuphead was really like, it changed my perspective on a lot of indie games. I mean, like, I've played a ton of indie games, and I know that, like you said, you don't necessarily want to use indie as a term, but like, I don't see indie as like a bad thing. Like, I almost think of it more along the lines of like, they should be proud of that. Like, it's just like, hey, we made this banging ass game with like a handful of people, like, just on our own. Like, I think that's something that's,
wear it on your sleeve. Be proud of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Kunal and Len.
Indie games, we can call them banging ass games.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ass game.
I'm a banging ass games developer.
The bang ass at Xbox program. I don't think that would pass legal, would it?
I mean, you never know.
We'll take that suggestion under advisement.
Yeah. You never know. Yeah, people are becoming a lot more lenient nowadays, so it's possible.
But you know what I loved about Cuphead also, aside from, like, as Chris pointed out, it's like it was their first game and they did these extremely tight mechanics, but also it's one of these things where the popular notion of like a very difficult game outside of like Demon Souls just isn't something to sell. And here comes Cuphead that's so freaking hard, but like everybody played it and they enjoyed playing it. Even when they're getting their ass kicked in the game over and over and over again, it just kept coming back. Yeah, it's excessively hard. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And like
you knew exactly, like, in every single instance, and this is what I was talking to a couple of my other friends about too with Cuphead, is that like, depending on your perspective and your gaming ability, you'll know exactly when you fucked up in that game. Like, exactly when you messed up. You're like, oh yeah, there was the bullet that was coming out of the end. I wasn't paying attention and I ran into it. In a game like Dark Souls or something like that, you're just like, it's like those mechanics are there, but they're under the surface of a bunch of other like spectacular, like, oh my God, like what's going on right now? And it's a little bit more confusing. Whereas with the visualization of Cuphead, because it was like, quote unquote, simplified down to like 70s cartoons, like, you see everything that's happening, and like it's a little bit clearer as to when you mess up. So I think that's what makes it.
There's a whole science to it. There's a whole science. There's the visual representation of things, how fast things move, and all this stuff. And like they hit every note of that.
Dude, is perfect. Absolutely,
it is. And I got in so many debates online and stuff with people who are sitting there going like, "Oh, this game's too hard." And it's like, well, how do you define too hard? Is it
right?
like what is a game then? And what is all this other stuff? So it's like, if you put the time in, you can beat it. And there were people that were complaining about it being too hard. And it's like, but you'd find out that they
only played it for like an hour. Like, yeah.
Or they either played for an hour or they beat the game and said it was too hard. And it's like, well, you beat the game. So like, how do you judge this sort of thing? So it was very interesting to see that dialogue come up and have people talk about like, oh, the game's hard, but they bought it and played through it all and enjoyed it somehow, but still have to complain.
See,
Mike, what did you...
I like to call it the Ninja Gaiden effect. Like,
yeah,
because that was the first game for me that like I sat down. I'm like, oh my God, this game is ruthless. And then the more and more that you play it, you're like, all right, I understand the patterns more. Like, it's just it's deceiving that you do have to put time into it, because people just look at it and they just go like, oh, platformer, shooter, whatever kind of thing. Like, this should be simple. And then they get in and they get their ass kicked and they're like, okay, well, maybe this isn't what I thought it was, but they don't they don't want to put that time and effort into really learning it. But all the tools are there right in front of them. So I think that's like, especially in Cuphead.
Still there?
Huh? What, Adam?
Are you still there?
Adam? Is your thing breaking, Adam?
No, I'm back.
Good.
He's good.
Your video's on, so I was just watching your face go just more and more confused as Chris was talking. Mike, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the videos before Cuphead launched of the one, I don't know if it was a reviewer or a blogger or whoever who was like just horrible with the tutorial and couldn't even
poor
do the jumping.
Dean.
Oh, man.
Dean Takahashi. And like, he's awesome and everything else. And also, you got to understand, like, Yeah, I'm going to defend him a little bit.
Like,
because,
what was
when
the
you're
story
doing
with
those
that? Because
things-
I don't really remember all of that.
He just posted, like, he was bad at the game. He thought it was funny, which it was. He wasn't trying to make any kind of point. He was just like, I wasn't good at this. He's playing in a tough environment, trade show environment, people looking at you, and and it might not, I don't think it's his, personal game style. Right. And so he was like, oh, this is funny. I'll upload it. And then it just turned into like one of those internet hate fests. And it's not even, it was such, my opinion, BS. Like, Dean is one of the most like literally maybe one of like the most respected, journalists in the game industry, and truly a journalist. And so like for him to get all that hate was just like, it was just, it was silly.
Well, I mean, people
Dean
are dumb.
Yeah, some people are dumb, and Dean does so much for the game industry and for as a true journalist, like does so much. And like Chris has been there, I've been there. Even when you're demoing games, sometimes when you start talking to somebody else, and you're doing something, you're just dying over and over there. Even if it's the tutorial, you're not paying attention.
I can't even play a Rock Band song and talk to people because I'll mess up.
Exactly.
Chris can attest to that.
Yeah,
it was just ruthless.
He can't even so much as like let out like a whimper.
You're like,
Like,
ask me a
nothing.
question. I was just like, hold on. It's I get distracted, so I can totally understand. But yeah, there's just too much negativity in gaming.
Yeah, people are dumb.
The way Twitter works and the way all this stuff works is you take something and you can give it any context. You can take it out of its own context and give it any other context. So they were taking this video that Dean did and then putting it in the context of look how bad he is in a tutorial. And you have no idea what's going on around that or where this even sits. And like I do it all the time for just shits and giggles on Twitter. I'll take something out of context because it's funny. But like you can do the opposite of that and take it out of context for hate, and it's just as powerful.
I'm not a fan of how negative everything is. Even going back to when the Xbox One was first announced and all the just vile and vitriol that was spread. And it's taken a while to recover, but even still, people are just like, oh, well, you can't even like use used games on there, can you? It's just so much negativity, and that's part of the reason I do this show is because I like to focus on the good and the fun.
And that's the thing is like games. We talk about this all the time, and
because
Chris
I like to harass
Mr.
you about Dragon Fantasy coming to Xbox.
But we always quote the guy from Pac-Man. Was it Toru Iwatani? Is that who it is? I think. And he had that quote of like a designer is somebody who just makes a game to make people have fun, and like that in his mind is what a game designer is. And like for people who sit here and spend day and night, sacrifice hours that they could be spending with their family or thing to make something fun for people, to then just have it go into the world and just get hate mail and everything else. It's just like, what kind of like sickos are we to keep doing this every day when there's like, all we're really holding out for is that glimmer of hope that somebody's going to enjoy what you're working on, and you're like holding on to like why you even got into the game industry and how did we get here? And like that's the most frustrating thing. It's like
I think that's not necessarily like reflective of the games industry, like only the games industry. Like it's so film, it's just like that's more like a societal like sports, we as a people. Like,
society.
Yeah. Like I think like I wouldn't necessarily like think too deep into that, mainly just because like again I think it's more reflective of just like in the advancement of the tools we have, right? Yes, yeah. Like some people like I actually had a discussion with a friend of mine the other day about like how rapid technology increased. Like my generation at least. I'll date myself. I'm 28, 29.
Oh,
but so you're the youngest one here.
Oh, but
yeah, you are.
But as far as and you guys included, I mean, like we grew up in a generation where like we still fondly remember like playing stickball and like going out and like run. You know what I mean? Like the simpler. Yeah, like simpler.
We knew what sidewalk chalk was. We played hopscotch, tic-tac-toe in the playground.
We went from that, and then just a handful of years, it's just like, here's any like an infinite amount of entertainment at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm. That's true, and you're hinting at something else that's kind of interesting too, because like Shigeru Miyamoto goes from like exploring tunnels as a kid in Kyoto, whatever it always brings up or whatever, to trying to create that experience in a video game. And now we have people who are creating video games based off of other video game experiences that were based off of other video game experiences based off of something in the real world. And it's like we're getting more and more removed as we go. And it's interesting. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's just very interesting to see something that has like this kind of weird osmosis of the real world to a digital world, and now watching it kind of have a feedback loop in and of itself, and where that goes is just something I think evolution that kind of evolution just happens, and it's just intriguing to me.
Yeah,
Society, man.
I really thought of it as
Society.
like Dragon
The
Fantasy.
puppy who lost his way.
Wait, I heard Adam say something about Dragon Fantasy. What's going on?
I hadn't really thought of it that way, but like, yeah, Dragon Fantasy is based entirely on my own experiences playing Dragon Quest. You know, it's I mean, that and people I know, but like,
So you're the problem.
I am the.
So you're the-
Cool.
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just a really interesting thing that's happening.
Why I haven't ported it to anything else.
No, I think you just need to take a walk. You just need to go outside.
But it is really interesting, and you look at like our, I would say Mike and my generation, we were all out in the woods, like actually, throwing rocks at each other and building forts and stuff like that.
That was the first FPS I ever played.
And you go back to like our parents' generation, and they were like, I don't even know what, like kids just died all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
they just sat there and just stared at a
No,
wall.
I mean, it's like really dangerous. It was a dangerous world, and so it's really interesting to just watch that evolution of childhood play and like how video games play a piece in it. I do think, I look at some of the popularity of some games like Celeste and games like Super Meat Boy and some other games that are just like I would describe them as brutally difficult. But I would say for like a modern generation of player, say players who are, say under 30 or whatever, like those games are like a walk in the park, and they're, there were certainly like really hard games in the NES era, but not to the level of some modern games. So it's just been interesting to see how it's evolved.
Yeah, I mean, my son plays a mobile game called Geometry Dash. That's kind of like, I think it was before Mario Maker, but it's where people make levels that are brutally difficult and then put them up on basically for everybody to play and try to beat. And I watch him play it. Like, he'll hand me it, and I'll start and die instantly, like 20 times, just hand it back to him, and be like, this isn't a game. But he beats every one of those levels, and he can just download a new level that looks impossible and beat it after maybe 2 tries, and I would never be able to beat it. But like
so
what Chris is
like
saying, there's like a level of, yeah, it is. It's a lot like N++, to even greater degree. And what's really interesting about it too is the community that comes up around it about building the levels for that kind of difficulty. So there's a whole generation of kids right now who are building levels in these games that are extremely difficult, so they can stream other people, or so other people can stream playing them and get the great reward of beating it on like online in front of everybody and stuff too. So it's like you're creating creators and you have game players, and this symbiotic relationship that's coming out of all this stuff right now that's blowing my mind. And it's just like, it makes me very hopeful for like gamers of tomorrow, essentially, because they're doing things that I didn't anticipate in a very positive way. Like my son last night, he's 11. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just doing a collab. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like collaboration, I guess. And he's like, oh yeah, with 2 other guys, doing this thing. It's like, I'm working on the boss AI while they're working on the rest of the level. And they're collaborating on a level design at the same time on a tablet. And they're rushing to publish it that night because there's something going on where they can get their level up on something or whatever. And it's like, and this morning he wakes up and he's going, it's like, oh, look at all these comments people are putting on it. And so I'm like, that's crazy. That's amazing.
It's like a like me generation where I want to do this to be liked. What was the name of the game?
Black Mirror episode.
What was the name
Geometry
of that?
Dash.
Geometry Dash. You should give Adam a 3rd day off to port that.
Yeah, exactly.
You could handle that, right, Adam?
No.
So Chris, I gotta know.
Or maybe.
You've known these guys for years. What are some of the most embarrassing stories you could tell me about them?
There's really no embarrassing stories about any of us, but
all right, Chris, here's the rule. I'll give you a pass. You can say anything you want embarrassing about us, and we won't say anything embarrassing about you.
No, I'll tell one story about Adam that I consider touching. Which is that when he first got the job at Digital Eclipse, I think he was like, I don't know, 14 or something, and
I think it was 10.
And he gets his job offer based on the the quality of his work. And then his mom called our boss and was like, is this legit? Like, are you like a real company? Is this like, like what's going on? Like, and you're offering my, teenage son, trying to get him to move to California. Is this some cult or something? So she's just like looking out for him.
Is this pornographic?
And then I think she made you turn down the job and agree to go to college. For at least a year, and then I think you bailed after like the first semester or something like that.
Yeah, she wanted me to go to college first, so I did. And then about 2/3 of the way through my first year, my photography professor, Marty Fromm, pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, you're a good photographer. You're doing great in the fine arts program, but I don't make any money. And you can make video games and maybe you'll make some money. So you should drop out of college and go make video games." And then it turned out he was wrong. Video games doesn't pay very well, but
better than photography.
Better than photography. Yeah. Or certainly better than art photography. It was not like journalism photography. It was like blurry, black and the 3 B's, big, blurry, black and white. And yeah, so yeah, then I called back and I was like, "Andrew, can I still have that job?" Andrew is the other Digital Eclipse guy besides Mike.
Yeah. And it was that was a motley bunch we had. And like Adam came in really young and just kicked ass on so many games. And
Little Nicky.
Look where he is today. Yep. Little Nicky.
Yep.
One of the top 5 games of all time in every history book.
I saw it. It's on Wikipedia.
The only history book that matters is the Metal Gear Solid 2 issue of, I think it was EGM, where Mika is quoted as saying, "We just hired this 19-year-old kid from Montana, and he's way better than the people with industry experience." Like the best quote ever. And then if you read after the little block quote, it says, "And we only have to pay him like 1/3 of what they asked."
Oh,
so the problem is, I have a couple anecdotes about Mike, but the problem is like all the best anecdotes about Mike are like already matters of complete public record. So like I mean,
unfortunately,
obviously like the Donkey Kong dad viral sensation where he hacked Donkey Kong to make Pauline rescuing Mario and ended up on Good Morning America and got like the first taste of internet hate from
for sure. Yeah, I'm no stranger to that internet hate.
Mike, the best thing with that is I knew of the whole a guy made a game for his daughter and reversed the roles. I didn't know it was you until after we've already been familiar for a while, and then like I looked up something. You were in a magazine for something, and it was like, he's the guy who did the Donkey Kong thing. I'm like, wait, he did what? That was him? Holy shit,
can't
Mike!
Be him. He talks about stuff on here that shouldn't be that.
And then the thing that kills me about that whole thing, I've got like a little rest of the story on that, is there was a bunch of like old friends who were going to Mexico for like a guys only vacation. It's like a lot of our wives go on vacation, and then sometimes there's like a guys vacation. And we tried to get Mike to come with us. And we're like, "Mike, come to Mexico. Like, it's going to be fun. Like, we rented this house that had lots of rooms, so we're just going to chill out." And he's like, no, I'm not going to come. And so we are all in Mexico, like sitting around this pool, this like house, and like reading our Nooks and Kindles or whatever. And somebody's like, "Look what Mike just did." And Mike had done it like while we were on the plane, right? Like I can just tell you the timeline. Like we get on this plane to Mexico and we're like all like, "Margarita, please." And like Mike's like, "Let me just hack Donkey Kong for my daughter here." And so then we're just sitting there in Mexico over the week, just relaxing and just talking about as Mike is just getting progressively more famous, like day by day. And I guess by the end of the week, we're like, all right, maybe he shouldn't have come to Mexico. Maybe it was better for the world that he stayed home.
Oh my Lord!
And
You're
then
a big deal, Mike.
The other anecdote about Mike is the wedding proposal, which I'm sure you guys all know.
Yeah.
Like,
Mike, tell that story.
Well,
I do the rest of the story on that one too, but
I'll do
go
it
for
quick on the front, and then I want Chris to do the rest because like Chris and I were working together on this project, and it was a super short schedule. And so Chris Klax is one of Chris's favorite games. And I always liked the game too, but like I knew like if Kris was going to produce this game and I had to engineer it, like I could rely on him to give me every bit of nuance of the game because he obsessed over it. And so we started working on this game and everything. And like what's remarkable is I think we originally were only giving ourselves like 6 weeks to make it, which is crazy now looking back. We went over a little bit, but it was like still super short. And even though we did that, we put so many hidden things in the game. Like we have all these hidden mini games and all these hidden messages. Like Kris put in all these crazy hidden messages and all stuff. And I had been dating my now wife for a while, and I'm like, well, if I put this thing in, I could put in this proposal, and then at any point I could just like she likes puzzle games, so like this would be a great way to spring it on her because like she keeps telling me every day I go to work, like, why don't you make something good, like a puzzle game? And so it's like, good, I could do this, and then I'll put a meaningful thing in. And of course, make the game, put it out there, and she just doesn't even bother to play it. I leave it out. I do all this stuff. She's just like, whatever, it's something you made, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh,
it's
God.
like, took forever. So it was like, basically, the only way I could get her to actually play it was one day we got a random call from Tips and Tricks.
Wait, I need to point out, this is 5 years later. Like
I wasn't gonna do that, but thanks, Kris. Yes, it was 5 years later.
5 years. He was just like, oh, fine. Want to play my game?
Like, and you know what? To be honest, I think at this point I had forgotten about it, and it was just like Chris Bieniek. Is that how she his last name, Chris? I always get it wrong. Yep. And who's an awesome guy. I've known him forever, and he just like calls him. He's like, look, we're doing this 100th issue. We're looking for codes that aren't out there. Is there any games you've worked on that might have some codes that nobody knows about yet? I'm like, oh yeah, there's this one. And I explained it to him. And he's like, we want to do something really good with this then. And so they did this little call out in the magazine. And it was just like, this code is only for one person. And they did this stuff. And so at that point, I was able to leave the magazine out. And I'm like, if I'm there, she's going to make me put the code in and tell me to do it, not her. I'm like, that's not going to be good. So I just left the magazine out, put the game out. And I just like went to the grocery store or something like that and just waited for her to try it out. And then, you know, she called and everything. Happy ending.
And 4 weeks later, she sat down.
Yeah. Yeah, so 5 years later, she's like, okay, maybe we should get married. But yeah, that's kind of how that went down. And it was, I didn't really tell anybody about it. And so it was just kind of a thing. I think that was kind of like surprising to everybody. And Kris may have known about it because like he was seeing the code, but not many other people.
Yeah, I knew about it. I had a message from my girlfriend in, but it wasn't a proposal because I lacked the courage.
What was your message?
You're a great friend.
Yeah, I care very much about you. No, I can't remember. It had like, I can't remember the code either, and neither can Mike. Like, so nobody's seen this thing in the game for, you know, probably 15 years. But it just was something like, I love you, and there were some snakes or something because my girlfriend
had a space shuttle picture. I remember
that.
A
space shuttle. It's my wife now.
It was like my son's notebook doodles. I drew a space shuttle for you.
What game was that,
awesome.
Chris?
I was in Klax.
That was Klax also?
And
it also had an
alternate
secret
history of Klax. That was good.
Yeah, it had like the real backstory and an alternate history version backstory of Klax. And then I think Mike also implemented like a faithful recreation of 2600 Adventure in the game.
I did. And so you have a whole other game hidden in the game, which was always my dream. I want to make like a really small game that has like hidden in it some gigantic game. That's like, you'd be playing like a little puzzle game, and then like if you did this one thing, you forgot a code, you've got like a full-on Call of Duty like first-person shooter that's hardcore and awesome.
Good lord.
But yeah, it's like I always love putting in little games and all that stuff. So you had Adventure, Atari 2600 Adventure with like remastered artwork. So the ducks look really good. They're not dragons, they're ducks and stuff like that. So it was like all that stuff was all in there. So we crammed all that in there in just like 8 weeks, I think it was. It was insane. We're like, Kris and I were working on laptops out of like the Oakland Public Library. Just because we wanted to go someplace else where we're too loud for our office, so we went to the library.
Damn.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
So you can't remember the password or the code for Chris's thing?
Bunch of shapes.
Bunch of
cylinder, alien, something.
Code can't be
I've got
that
it somewhere,
big, right?
Chris.
Maybe we
Figure
could
it out, Adam. That'll be your fourth
Find it.
day off. You'll get a full week at this point.
Every game.
Give
I remember
me
like
4 days.
Blitz.
I'll get that in there.
Like every game we put stupid stuff in there because like you're working on these games, and especially back then there was not much time. You had to really crunch on these games, so like you're just getting loopy and crazy, and like half the studio's high on something, and like you're just trying to get this stuff all in, and like you'll just while you're waiting for somebody, you just start making other stuff because you can't go anywhere. And so like there's hidden messages in all our games. There's crazy stuff that shouldn't be in there. And all stuff people just like add extra little things that you have to trigger by just like changing a byte of code and all stuff. So generations from now, as archaeologists go through these games and scream in sheer terror at what we've done, they'll find some weird things in there. Like I just remember there's a weird phrase that's hidden in NFL Blitz, and I don't remember why we put it in, but Bob Baffy and we put that one in there. It's like I remember it's something to do with like you could always use it for an ass rub for some reason, and there was some reason we put that in there. And I don't remember why, but there was like an inside joke. There's full of inside jokes like that, which I have no idea anymore what they mean or why they're in there.
So how many of your in-jokes would get games re-rated by the ESRB?
Every single one. That's the thing.
I don't think that's true. But there were some funny ones.
There were some funny ones. Like Little Nicky, that's a game that like we talk about on the show a lot here, Chris. But it's
I
like
tried getting a copy of that the other day.
Did you?
It's the game that like nobody paid attention to. So it's like in hindsight, you look at it and you're like, there's no way Ubisoft like licensed Ozzy Osbourne and like Regis Philbin's likeness and all this stuff. It was just kind of like out the door it went.
I know Bob said he was going to send a copy for a contest a while back, but it never showed up. So I don't know if like the mailman kept it or if Bob just forgot.
Well, when you put a high quality game like that in a shallow box where it's easy to see, someone's going to take it before it gets to its destination.
Very true. Oh man, Little Nicky seems like a good point to do this, but I know we've been chatting for quite a while. I don't want to take up all your nights. Did anyone have any other questions for anyone else? Because we've just kind of been talking to each other.
Oh yeah, good point.
Do I have any questions for Chris?
I think because Chris is kind of like
or for anyone.
He's rare on the show. Yeah, like
Chris, did I leave my socks in your basement? I can't find my lucky socks.
Wait, which Chris are you asking?
Any
Chris. No. So I'm the one with the extra like hard K sound. So
oh yeah, you're the Chris.
Yeah.
I like when a certain question comes up, Chris Charla will just mute.
Yeah.
That's actually the best part.
It's like I don't want to do this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
God, and he reminded me that we're doing this for a while now. I gotta go.
Oh yeah. So we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much, Mike, Adam, Chris, everyone, Chris, other Chris, all the Chris's. Too many Chris's on this show.
Every Chris.
To
all the Chris's in the world.
I really do have too many Chris's on this show at this point.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. But thank you everyone for coming on and chatting. Everybody else, stick around. We're going to take a quick break, be back with more show. Chris, important Chris, not Huber Chris.
Not me. I'm not. That's not me.
Do you have any final words to wrap up this section of the show?
Now would be a good time to unmute.
No, actually, this is a perfect time. Don't unmute.
He's completely... he's off the grid.
I guess you just lost him.
Maybe.
I can only make out the faint sound.
Oh God, he's gone. He's officially gone. Oh shit.
He's officially gone.
He was probably like, well, guys, thank you so much for having me on. It was wonderful to be oh, wait, he's back.
There he is. There he's back. Sharp.
My network's from 4G to my house Wi-Fi. But thanks for having me on. Super fun reminiscing, and thanks for asking all the questions about ID. And it'd be great to get more Dragon sort of fantasy style RPGs on the system.
Seriously, if only we knew someone, right?
It's where do you look for that kind of thing?
I don't know. Yeah, like the thing is every RPG I've ever made has like no live dragons in it at all. So
ducks, put ducks in it. Duck fantasy.
Duck no, it's a seagull.
Yeah. I'll get you your seagull one of these days.
Oh no, we're gonna get Dragon Fantasy Battle Royale next.
Yep.
Oh, see that's a good RPG mechanic.
Yeah.
I would
exclusive
by the
to
time
Switch.
you're getting bored of the story, it just starts to close in really fast.
It takes 0 minutes to get bored of the story in Dragon Fantasy. I can attest to that.
Just put a clock up.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's awful asking any of you guys for final words because they never just end.
Yeah.
True.
All right, I'm gonna hang up. But
All right,
thanks,
see,
guys.
Chris has got.
That's a good final word.
I
I have Japanese homework to do. How's that sound?
All right.
See you later, Chris. Take care.
Take care. Thanks again for doing this. Oh, he's already gone.
Yeah. You just got the fuck out.
He's like, peace.
He's already talking to like HR at Microsoft, like whatever I said, whatever those guys are saying, I'm not affiliated. I said I worked with him, but I really don't know him.
I'm going to get a cease and desist tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't even have to work. You just got to find other guests for a new show.
Yeah. You're just going to go from 359 to 361.
I mean, we've already skipped episode 24.
Oh, yeah?
We did. Early days of the show, our old co-host, Tim, he just didn't want to do an episode the one week. And it was like, well, we can't just skip one because we have a guest coming on next week for episode 25. And he's like, well, I don't know, we'll just say it's a lost episode and we'll never do it.
Was I 25? 50?
You were later on. Number 25 was Nick Chester when he was still at Harmonix.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Chick Nestor. I know him.
He hasn't been on
Nestor.
since way back, since his Harmonix days. I've been trying to get him back on.
He's big time on us.
Yeah, he's big time. He's like, fuck this. I'm an epic. I'm not dealing with these little bastards anymore. I have no idea if this is still on the show or not.
Oh.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks you so much for that. God damn it.
No, keep it. Keep rolling.
Do over.
Thank you so much for sticking around. Big thanks again to Chris, Adam, Mike, everyone for dropping by in the first half of the show. Got a whole second half of the show to go. Cole Martin, you are here. How are you doing?
I'm here. I exist.
Yay.
Yay.
And also joining us, you heard the voice shaming me for my fuck up, Stevo Bortz. Welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
A group of engineering students from Purdue University reported that its licking machine took an average of 364 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Now we know.
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
doing fantastic, all things considered. The tree is no longer on my house, which is good.
Which is, yeah, that's definitely a positive. Your appearance on the show this week was very much in limbo because of
Yes.
Mother Nature.
That windstorm that rolled up through Balmer, and I only had one tree that could have possibly fallen and caused damage to the power lines and my internet, and that was the tree that got friggin' uprooted, obviously. So, thankfully everything's fine. There's a little bit of like roof and siding damage, but the insurance is supposed to come out. But besides that, I've had a lot of fun with the games that I've been playing recently, and I ended up burning 1,300 calories during my workout today. So.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I could go to CC's right now.
I mean,
Sounds
it's
like an
9
effective-
o'clock. I don't think we can.
It would take too long.
Yeah. I think they'd be closed by then.
But I mean, get the routine stuff out of the way. I'm doing good. My podcast, Friday Night Fan Fiction, is currently taking a month hiatus in order to prepare for our next season.
And anything fun happening with the show?
Well, I mean, we're leaving the Nerdy Show Network. Our last episode for them is being posted tomorrow, and we're branching off on our own. Basically, there's going to be no network management, new website, new feeds. The RSS is going to stay the same, but it's just going to be more of doing what we love, and obviously, it's open guest recruitment. If you can handle terrible fan fiction, well, you know where to find the forum, don't you?
No.
Okay, well, go to FridayNightFanfiction.com and click on the Be a Guest button.
I have to apply?
Well, the way we're doing it now, because we had about half of our guests not show up this past season, is we're making people sign up every season so we can track it and make sure everybody's got their info and like Google Calendar. Anyways, we're on a tangent here.
I have to sign up to be on. You didn't sign up to come on my show.
No, but then again, does anybody have to sign up to come on your show?
No, not at all.
That's why they let me be here.
And no, that explains the first half of the show with Mika, Adam Rippon, Kris Huber coming back, and Chris Charla. I still can't believe that shit happened.
I will say I've been listening to SML while I've been swimming this past week, so I can at least show up and say, hey, I've listened to your show recently, Joe.
I was going to ask why, but you just explained it.
I listened to the entirety of your episode on Little Triangle.
What did you think?
I think that it made me hungry for Doritos and pizza. And also that you guys, you malign Sony so much.
I do. I really do. And they've only done more to piss me off lately.
And also, HoloLens is augmented reality. It's augmented reality. That's what it is. I was yelling under the water. I was swimming and yelling, no, you're wrong.
Is that accurate?
100%.
But yeah, speaking of things that irritate me with Sony, let's get to the news. Just came out, there's been a lot of kerfuffle with the whole crossplay thing going on, and how Fortnite a few times accidentally had crossplay going on between Xbox and PS4. Well, good news, crossplay is coming to Fortnite Battle Royale. Bad news, it's only Sony and computer. So Sony, the company that is actively preventing crossplay between other consoles, is the one getting crossplay, and Microsoft, the company Microsoft, the company that's trying to unite all corners of the gaming ecosystem, they're shut out of it. Go figure. Yeah. It's a partnership with Sony.
This is the legit. Sorry, go ahead.
When I read that, I was just like, I felt like I was in some kind of upside down universe. Like, I saw crossplay, and then I went back through the sentence, and it said with Sony, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I mean, how does this make any fucking sense? What the hell happened here?
Of all the things that Sony does, I will say this is a legitimate grievance, because trying to keep cross-platform play clandestine it's bass-ackwards. It doesn't make any sense in an ecosystem where almost everything, like, obviously the servers work. I remember when Unreal Tournament 3 launched and they were like, it's going to be cross-compatible, and then it wasn't. This has been decades, over a decade in the making now. And just because people want to take their ball and play in their own sandbox, it's very frustrating. Rocket League is another example.
Yeah. There is crossplay on Rocket League. There's crossplay between Sony and PC, and then separately there's crossplay between PC, Xbox, and Nintendo.
Right. So they're isolated. Like it's only a one-way line of communication, which again, no excuses for that. That's a very poor business decision.
Yep. Yay, Sony.
The other thing with Fortnite, too, is that they're bringing it to iOS and Android. And the crossplay is going to extend to the mobile version.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And still leave Xbox out. Yes.
Yep.
It will be Android against
as to how they can put that all on freaking Android.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
How's that going to work on mobile? I don't...
Yeah.
Click here to buy another loot box.
It's just your thumb is just on the fingerprint sensor the entire time, just immediately buying stuff for you constantly. That would be great.
I'm so past this whole freemium, themium ecosystem at this point.
Oh, I agree. I very much agree.
It sucks because I love toilet games, but...
Well, now you can play Fortnite while you're on the toilet.
I will
against
say,
people who are playing on a PS4, but not Xbox.
Exactly. I can just say, hey guys, I'm pooping right now.
Anyway,
sorry, Sony.
There is more news to tackle. 2 new games were added to the Xbox backward compatibility lineup this week with Lego Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars, always a good game to get Lego stuff, and Hitman Blood Money. Yeah, both games now playable on Xbox One. Because
I have to ask, is Panzer Dragoon Orta backwards compatible?
No, because that's an original Xbox game, and they've only gotten the rights to like a dozen of them so far, like 14 of them. Later this spring, we're supposed to get another batch of original Xbox games playable, but no one knows what's going to show up.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, like the first batch was all kind of mixed stuff with like Knights of the Old Republic, Blood Rain 2 was on there, Grabbed by the Ghoulies. It was such a weird list.
There's only 3 games for the original Xbox that this would push me in the direction of considering an Xbone. It would be Panzer Dragoon Orta, Jet Set Radio Future, and Metal Wolf Chaos.
Well, 2 of them I think would be possible. Metal Wolf Chaos, I'm not sure about that.
The most American game never released in America.
Yeah, that might be the one that causes issues. I mean, it's clearly your own fault for liking that game.
Well, of course, the developer From Software never went on to make anything else remarkable, right?
Yeah, never heard of him after that. Speaking of From, I would love to see the Otogi games show up. Those would be pretty nice.
Yep, I agree.
But let's see, other news. Cole, you should be happy about this. The Division 2 was officially announced.
Can I squee? Is it okay if I just go squee? Because
as long as it's not too loud, sure.
As soon as I hear the Division 2, I just go ee, and I'm happy. No matter what shit rains down on me, I have the Division 2 to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm guessing you read up on all the details of that.
I watched the stream when they announced it. There are 5 different studios working on this game. And they started the concept for the Division 2 1 month after the first one launched. So this was planned. They have been working on this for 2 years already. Today, as we're recording this, for the record, this will go up tomorrow and this will all be wrong then. But today is the 2-year anniversary of the launch of the Division. And,
so yesterday was the 2-year the 2-year anniversary.
The 8th of March for whenever the fuck you're listening to this. So it was a very fitting day for this to be announced. And they've already been working on the Division 2 for 2 years now. It's as they've gone on with all of the year 2 content, as they are planning the year 3 content, they've been trudging away at the Division 2 already. That gives it a pretty impressive head start. Like, they didn't wait until the Division had 20 million players to start the Division 2. They've already been at this with 5 studios, not including other little studios doing various inputs, like helping with, translation and all that stuff. So they've everywhere from, Red Storm in North Carolina to Ubisoft Shanghai have been working on this. So it should really be something special.
That's a lot of teams to work on one game, which
it really is.
Then you got to wonder, is it just that ambitious of a project, or is it that troubled? That's what you got to question now.
I like to be optimistic and say, I think that the first Division was incredibly ambitious, and I think that was kind of its downfall at the same time. Like, I remember the first time that I was playing in the overworld and I walked through to the dark zone, and that just seamless transition from one to the other, it was kind of shocking. And I don't think I've ever played any other kind of game that gave me the feeling that the Division did the very first time I walked into the dark zone.
Oh, and just looking at 6 studios, not 5.
Is it? Yeah.
Massive Entertainment, Ubisoft Reflections, Red Storm Entertainment, Ubisoft Annecy, Ubisoft Shanghai, and Ubisoft Bucharest.
Yeah.
So Bucharest, holy crap.
So it's
not enough teams.
That's a lot of work. But if you think,
go ahead.
The scale of the Division, the very first one, and just the size and scope of it alone, it's not far-fetched to realize that they have that many teams. They, after the launch of the first one, That's when they started like grabbing all these other teams to bring to it, because it was expansive, and if you look at what the expansions and the DLC added to the game overall, just if you were to step onto the Division now and you've never played it, or you haven't played it since 1.1, you would be overwhelmed by how much there is to do in this game.
Never played it.
You've never played? Oh,
I haven't played it since around launch.
I own 0 current generation consoles minus the Switch.
But you have a PC.
I do. Is it on the PC?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
they even do free weekends sometimes.
As soon as I get on board with Friday the 13th, which people have been hounding me to get because they want more people to kill.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I liked Friday the 13th. I liked Dead by Daylight a little better.
I can't get into either of them. I don't know. I'm not into the whole 4v1 or a couple versus one. I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Playing as the Hag in Dead by Daylight is A, not fair, and B, so good.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was another game that was officially announced today. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is official and happening and releasing in October. And the best part is it's not Call of Duty IV for 4. It is Call of Duty Black Ops III. I
wonder if that's because they'll do a 5 and it'll just be like 4 lines and a slash.
It's 2 World War IIs combined. They're facing head to head.
Yeah, I, Call of Duty.
I really like the Black Ops series, but I lost patience with Black Ops 3. That was kind of the point where I was just like, I am really over the hyper futuristic shit. Yeah. And I'm just, I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't care how good I fucking was with the Sparrow. I just was tired of all the jumping and the wall running and stuff. Yeah. So I'm really worried here. Like, we finally got back to boots on the ground shit with World War II. Are we going to have to go back to jumping through the air and running on walls?
I don't know. I didn't watch the trailer, so I don't care.
That would have been a weird Back to the Future sequel if they did Back to the Future 4 and they went back to World War II.
Marty, we gotta stop the war.
Marty, we gotta go back. We gotta kill Hitler.
Great Scott, is that Hitler there? Anyway, a lot of Nintendo news today as well. There was a Nintendo Direct earlier and kind of blew up the internet for a little bit. Let's go through things in order. They started off with some 3DS stuff, with WarioWare Gold coming to 3DS with over 300 micro games August 3rd.
Okay, hold on, stop, because my desk is now lifting due to my massive erection.
I am
the biggest WarioWare fan. I'm so excited for this. You have no idea.
300 micro games, including new and old.
The average was for
like
the previous
maybe 60 or 80, somewhere in that ballpark range.
Like, what's the release date? Is it May?
August 3rd.
Oh, I can't. Oh, early birthday present for me.
When's your birthday?
August 19th.
Oh, well, happy birthday in a couple months. 19th. Mine's on the 18th, but this month. So.
Well, I mean, do you want to would you like to go to CC's for your birthday?
Maybe. Well, I'll talk with Ashley, see what her weekend looks like. We'll figure something out. But
oh, good.
Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers was announced, which is an action tower defense looking game where Dylan teams up with your Mii and your friend's Mii's, and I don't know, it looks weird. A demo's going to be out May 10th, full game May 24th, so cool if you're into that. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story is getting a 3DS remake coming in 2019 and will include Bowser Jr.'s Journey, a new side story, which, cool. I love the Mario and Luigi games.
My wife is going to thoroughly enjoy that. She loved Bowser's Inside Story.
Well, now she gets to play it all over again with more content.
Yeah.
They showed a video for Detective Pikachu and the Amiibo, which is coming out March 23rd. It's still weird as hell seeing Pikachu talk normally, and I'm still sad that they didn't get Danny DeVito for it.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not a perfect world. If you want Danny DeVito, you just go back to playing the Hercules game.
Was he in there? I thought it was a sound-alike.
No, I think they took quotes from him directly.
Oh, maybe. Because I know Kingdom Hearts, they had a sound-alike.
Well, yeah, Kingdom Hearts they did, but like the Hercules, the Disney game, I believe that was actually Danny DeVito.
Maybe.
Speaking of, I eagerly await the SML where you have an announcement for the release date for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Allegedly still this year, so we'll see.
Alleged, that's a very big allegedly.
Are either of you interested in Detective Pikachu? Because I really don't care at all about the game, but the amiibo for it, oh man, I need that thing.
I'm interested in the game because I like the Pokemon series as a whole, and I've liked a lot of the offshoot games. Mystery Dungeon has always been wonderful. I mean, there's a couple of misses, like Pokemon Troze wasn't very good.
I like that one.
The Troze? Really? The slider puzzle?
Yeah, I love puzzle games, so...
I mean, okay, Pokemon Puzzle League is good. I just don't think Troze had good mechanics.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, okay, Pokemon Ranger was good, so I give them the benefit of the doubt. They're one of the few game series that I know where the main games and the majority of offshoots are almost all consistent quality. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
That amiibo, man. The first time I saw the amiibo on Best Buy listed at $30, I thought it was just a placeholder price. The amiibo is 6 inches tall.
Yeah.
That is a big friggin' amiibo.
Where are you going to stick it? And that's not a sexual question. No,
on a shelf, probably.
Good.
On a shelf. Luigi's Mansion is getting remade for the 3DS. The original Luigi's Mansion just coming out, quote, this year. So probably the fall sometime.
Yay!
And then they switched over to Switch info.
Oh boy.
Kirby Star Allies is coming out next week. First update is going to hit March 28th and include new Dream Friends, including some characters from Kirby's Dream Land 2 and 3 and Superstar. And then they're going to apparently keep bringing out more Dream Friends with free updates across the whatever months. And there's a demo out now, so I might have to grab that later. I meant to do that before, but I didn't. Okami HD is hitting the Switch this summer, and you can actually use the touchscreen while drawing in Okami, which finally makes sense in a game.
Oh.
I mean, here's the thing. With Okami, I've bought the game like 5 times, and everybody keeps telling me it's good, and I still have yet to like get engaged within the first 10 minutes in order to keep playing it.
Yeah, the text
Maybe I'm
speed
just
is
an
a big
uncultured
problem.
heathen. Maybe.
Well, that too. I'll agree there.
You're in good company.
A new game called Sushi Striker: The Way of Sushido was announced, which is a sushi throwing anime cutscenes, mix of puzzle game and fighting game, has online play, looks really, really weird. Which is an understatement, I guess, considering what I explained. But it comes out June 8th on the Switch and on the 3DS. They went into a video for Octopath Traveler with some new info. They showed off 2 new characters, showed off the job system, which you can actually have 2 jobs equipped for some cool combinations. And they announced a release date finally, coming out July 13th. And it's going to have a special edition with a pop-up art book, soundtrack, coin, and a map. And I can't wait for Nintendo to produce like 40 of them, and that's it, like they enjoy doing.
That's what I was about to say. There's going to be like 5.
Yeah. Oh, well. Video footage of Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. It's kind of like Travis going through multiple games. There are 7 different game titles that you're going to play through in it. It's coming out this year. And the video they showed didn't have any kind of gore or adult stuff in it, so I'm hoping they didn't neuter the style of the game, but it might have just been, we're showing this off with a bunch of other family-friendly games. Let's just, not put anything crazy in the trailer.
I mean, that is one of those series that I really didn't think was going to get any more love. So
I'm glad it did.
This makes me, yeah, like for sure. It's just so. It's weird, the game selection that they're doing for it's nice. Unappreciated series deserve to get this kind of love. Just please give me another Knights game, please.
Well, that's up to Sega. That's not up to Nintendo.
I know, but Nintendo and Sega, come on, they made like three friggin' Olympic Games together. Just do it.
Well, they made a Knights game for the Wii.
You know what? That's a whole nother episode, an entire episode of discussion. Okay?
I was waiting to say that and just hear a gunshot in the distance.
No.
Sobbing and then a gunshot.
No.
Why remind me?
I have opinions. Okay.
What are those opinions?
It'd take another 2 hours.
Okay, then. They showed off more info on Dark Souls Remastered, a trailer of that, and they showed that a Solaire of Astora amiibo is coming. So you can praise the sun in plastic form.
That amiibo looks gorgeous.
I need it. I need it so bad.
So you can get the Pikachu one, and I'll get the Solaire one, and we can just have play dates.
Oh no, I'll just get them both, and we could still have play dates. We could still have play dates. It's okay. I'm gonna get them both though.
69 and.
Oh God. Both the game and the amiibo are out May 25th, and a network test is gonna hit the Switch soon. They went into the whole using your gold coins for purchases thing that Nintendo's doing now on the Switch, which has probably the worst exchange rate I've ever seen for anything ever. Normally, if you registered like a $60 game, you got 50 coins. That translates to 50 cents.
Mm.
Ugh.
Blow me, Nintendo. Really? What? 50 cents.
Give me all this good shit and then blow me.
I have 180 gold coins from a handful of games that I've gotten over, the past year. It's worth $1.80. $1.80. How stupid is that?
That's almost one of the mini games in that freemium 3DS title where it's the depressing dog.
Oh God,
I was
Rusty
say, I'm
something.
Sure that buys a loot box somewhere.
Was it Rusty's baseball something?
Which I actually enjoy that game.
I never played it.
It's just it has that weird, almost Earthboundy, bizarre humor. So.
Speaking of Earthboundy humor, we'll get to something related to that in a little bit. But then they showed a way too long Mario Tennis Aces video that went over like power-up shots and online play. And just, I don't know, it has a story mode finally, which I'm happy that they have a story mode in a console tennis game. And Chain Chomp is a character, so I'm excited about that as well.
Woo!
Play tennis with Chain Chomp.
Seems unfair.
I don't know. You never know. He has to hold the racket in his mouth, clearly.
Oh, sorry. It was just so riveting thinking about Mario Tennis.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is coming to the Switch out July 13th with some new Mario Odyssey levels, and you could use the 2 Joy-Con for co-op. A 3DS version is coming as well, and it'll be one of the few 3DS games lately that's going to have actual 3D visuals. Remember when that was a thing?
No.
I missed them. Undertale is coming to the Switch where it belongs. Finally, that whole Sony exclusivity thing is done.
That's
nice. Them again. It's coming, quote, eventually. So we'll see when it shows up. Crash Insane Trilogy is hitting the Switch July 10th. It was later confirmed it is also hitting Steam and Xbox One. So after the June 30th launch on PS4 last year, looks like that 1-year exclusivity thing was correct and is just about up. And I'm sure the whole rumored Spyro collection is going to have the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa!
What, to the Crash or the Spyro?
Crash.
Yeah. July 10th on the Switch, Xbox, and Steam. Yay, finally.
Is it too late for me to whoa over Spyro?
Go ahead.
Go for it.
I love Spyro. Whoa!
Well, you probably won't get to play that until next year, so don't get too excited yet.
You know what? It's going to be great because in that time they're going to make it another full-on Skylanders title, aren't they?
Oh God, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not. I want like old school Spyro.
Cole, if you had a Switch, you would be excited at this, but Little Nightmares Complete Edition is hitting the Switch May 18th.
Little Nightmares is so good.
And if you scan the Pac-Man amiibo, you get a special Pacu mask in the game. Ooh.
I don't know what that would. I'm not a fan of the odd masks, but
No.
I'm sure somebody's amused by it. Like I have the one for the teapot and I think it's a scarecrow sack, and I'm just like, I don't know why these are things.
Going from creepy to crazy, South Park, The Fractured Butthole is coming to the Switch April 24th. We'll also have the season pass and 2 content packs available to buy at launch. So you're not getting anything extra with the game, but Switch owners are getting the game, which is, baby steps, I guess.
Yeah, I got kind of
was
spoiled
expected.
with the Disgaea 5 complete release. I'm like, oh man, why can't all the games be like this?
Yeah.
I hate having to buy other stuff.
Yeah, oh well. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is hitting the Switch May 18th, including all the DLC. And then they went into some stuff with ARMS and Splatoon that I really didn't catch because I got a phone call. I know there's a paid expansion coming to Splatoon for $19.99, and if you buy it, you could pre-purchase it now and you'll get some bonus headgear and outfits to use now in Splatoon 2. So, yeah.
I still haven't played Splatoon 2. I know I need to.
I never got into them. That and ARMS.
I forgot it was out.
Okay, well, ARMS, I wanted it to be like a spiritual sequel to Teleroboxer, my favorite Virtual Boy game. But that was... Look, Teleroboxer was amazing. I don't care what other people say. It was worth buying the system for. And unfortunately, like, we did the, the test punches, and it just felt so wonky. The whole game felt super loose and unfair, and it felt like the AI, just because, they could do stuff a lot better than most people could using the motion controls or even with the, control stick. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. I'll rant later.
Well, this is a good show for it. But there was... They pulled the usual Nintendo. What?
Did you stop PlayStation Plus Vita things?
Huh? What?
Sony's discontinuing PlayStation Vita, PlayStation Plus monthly rewards.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah,
you're late to that party. We already had this.
Yeah, we talked about that already. I thought you heard that episode.
I thought you listened to the show.
You
I said I'm still upset about it. I'm not saying you haven't discussed it already. I'm saying it still upsets me.
Where did that come from even? You were talking about Splatoon and ARMS, and then you just went right to the Vita.
It's been on my mind. I'm bitter.
Oh. Anyway, Nintendo did their whole, oh wait, there's one more thing. I'm cutting you off, Stevo. I'm ending the rant there. Smash Brothers is coming to the Switch.
Oh, all right.
Oh my god. I posted my comments on Facebook and Twitter where I'll just read my notes directly off of here. Oh yeah, one more thing. ... Smash. Oh, this is all caps from now on, by the way. Smash. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Next line. Oh fuck. Next line. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Next line. Oh fuck. Next line. Oh fuck. Next line. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Again. Next line. 2018. So it's coming out this year. Followed by oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. And then I guess it includes the Inkling because they showed Inkling and then they showed Mario and Breath of the Wild Link, which is neat. And then last line is oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh sweet fuck. So I'm excited.
So tell us how you really feel.
I'm a little excited. Yeah, pretty cool.
I've never played Smash.
Well, you're missing out.
Probably. But I feel a little bad because after the announcement was made, if you follow Dan I can never pronounce his name, Dan Fernasi from the Rivals of Ether guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, we're fucked, because they were just in the process of rewriting their entire game to release on Switch.
Oh, man.
And it's going to have straight competition, and it will not be out before Smash.
Oh, boy, that sucks for them.
It does.
Well, maybe they could coexist.
Maybe, but I think that Rivals of Ether has kind of managed to develop enough of a cult following that it will at least have some traction on Switch when it releases.
Maybe.
But it is going to be a tough uphill battle with Smash being released before them.
Yeah. There was one other little bit of Nintendo news where it came out that in Japan in the first year, they sold 3.8 million units, which is triple what the PS4 did in its first year. And of course, in Japan, it's like 3.8 million times more than what the Xbox did in Japan in its first year.
How?
Going back to Smash, I'm eagerly awaiting the revival of two long-dead fighting games, Rival Schools versus Fighting Vipers, in my brain.
Jesus.
I want that to happen.
Fighting Vipers? Really?
Okay, you want to just make it Fighters Megamix instead?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was unequivocally the best fighting game because you can fight as the Daytona car.
I mean, really, how do you beat that?
No, you don't, because you can't fight a car unless you're Street Fighter.
Very true. Anyway, one final bit of news I have is Origin Access on PC is getting a little bit beefier as EA signed an agreement with Warner Brothers. They are going to be bringing available right now Lego Batman 1, 2, and 3, as well as Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Origins are all a part of Origin Access right now.
Oh, wonderful. So we get the super buggy game. Really appreciate that beefing up the catalog there, EA.
Wait, which one was the really buggy one?
That was Origin, I believe.
I don't know.
Whatever the third one was.
Yeah, that was Origins, but that one wasn't made by Rocksteady. So, I don't know. Anyway, a couple other games are going to be hitting Origin Access, including The Witness, Lost Castle, Wasteland 2, and Out of the Park Baseball 19. And then EA Access members on Xbox have something to rejoice about. As just before this podcast started recording, I downloaded the free trial for Burnout Paradise Remastered. So that's what I'm doing this weekend.
Wait. They're remastering it?
Yeah, coming out next week.
I think you fibbed about listening to the show.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because every episode, I downloaded a spot of them. I downloaded the little triangle one, and I got about halfway through that.
And then I gave up and never went back.
I got all the way through that one. I got halfway through the one that was 4 episodes prior to that.
I can't remember that far back.
No, I will go to my swimming phone and let you know which one I potentially listened to.
Sounds good. You could let us know. Anyway, we have a... Oh, before that, did anyone else have news they wanted to talk about?
Not really.
No, nothing?
No, I mean, only thing I can think of is there's a new potential exploit for the PlayStation Vita for getting hacked firmware, but that's about it. Not really industry news.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I had things to talk about, and then I had things to talk about, and then we talked about it, so now I don't have things to talk about.
Tell us how cold you are still.
I'm cold. I have my blanket, but I'm going to start shivering. It's cold.
Oh,
like
man.
the weather was all 70 and 80 degrees, and now it's like fucking snowing because Mother Nature didn't take her bipolar meds.
Oh, cut deep. Don't normalize the dissing of mental illnesses. Mother Nature, you don't know what Mother Nature's going through.
She's had a rough year.
I mean, I've got some extra Risperdal over here. If it'll help the bitch, is all I'm saying.
Oh, God. Well, do you guys want to give away a game?
Yes.
Sure.
Because Wait,
what game is it?
We have 4 copies of Defender's Quest Valley of the Forgotten DX on Xbox One, and we asked our Twitter followers to email us and tell us why they wanted the game. We got 7 entries, so we got to whittle this down to 4 winners. Are y'all ready to do this?
Okay, one of us?
Somebody's going to listen to the show and be even more disappointed than normal.
Yep. Which ones of them sent us nudes?
None.
Nobody.
No winners then. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't ask for nudes. Maybe if I asked for nudes, we would get some.
Maybe we need to start asking for like noodles.
Oh God.
Noodles are fine too. I did make pasta tonight.
Please send pizza.
Send us the sexiest pictures you have of pizza and pasta.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to do that sometime. Just send us pictures of food.
If you could just put the pasta on top of the pizza and take a really seductive picture, that would be great.
And I will say, getting pictures of food for an audio podcast would be fantastic listening as we just debate our favorites. It's like, oh, I wish you guys could just see this pizza.
Hey, we do it all the time on my show. It still holds up well.
Anyway, let's read these emails because we got 7 of them to go through. The first one is from Talos167, who says, I want this game because I would love to be humbled by yet another horde. So, wants to be humbled.
That was quick.
Yeah, I know. I'm not used to short emails like that. Next one.
I'm like, where's the rest?
Yeah. This is where the next one is. The rest of it is from Aroto D'Amato, who says, had a terrible night trying to deal with the cockroach. Imagine this. You're pooping, you're having a good time, browsing the internet on your phone. You're also naked because after the poop, you plan on taking a shower. Then all of a sudden, you feel something crawling up your back. Starts on your left butt cheek, goes all the way up to your neck. I thought to myself, probably sweat, right? But then I remembered sweat can't slide up unless you're upside down. And then I felt an itch, as anyone would do. I tried scratching. That's when my fingernail encountered the giant cockroach chilling in my back as I'm trying to reach climax in the toilet. What do you do? First you think, I'm going to get up and scream. But then you remember your poop is halfway... Then you remember your poop is halfway out the ass and you don't want to drop a deuce on your bathroom floor, especially when it's the creamy poop variety, right? So you try to stay...
Pinch it, you freak!
I mean, if it's halfway out, that's just going to be trouble. But, so you try to stay calm. It's just a cockroach. It can't kill you. But when I reached with my hand, the cockroach got spooked and jumped back inside the toilet. At that point, my pooper was open like an airport giving clearance to land, and cockroaches like dark places. So I immediately clenched my butt cheeks together. That's when I heard a squash noise. Guys, I need help. And this game, of course. Jesus fucking Christ.
So,
There's a lot that just happened right there.
You know, considering my pedigree with terrible fan literature, you should write, sir or madam. You should absolutely write, because that riveted New York Times bestseller material.
I like Swizzlers in chat is just like, oh my, what did I just walk into? A wet mess. Aha.
Then again, if you are in the bathroom, hopefully you're near a shower or a bathtub, meaning that whatever happens, you can at least have some sort of solace.
I mean, it was the plan to jump in afterwards. Like, where do you go from there? For the longest time, I would save Aroto's emails for last because they would just be this crazy. And then I guess, you know, we got some other solid entries and Aroto kind of went on a little bit of a losing streak there. And I guess just stepped their game up and just the cockroach saga. Good Lord. Next email from Gregory Goiverts. I hope I said that right. So I saw Twitter and this popped up. I never owned an Xbox One or an Xbox in general, but I'm getting one in April. Would it not be awesome if the first game I play is a game I won from you guys? That would be so awesome and would make my day so much. But yeah, if I win, I'll still need to wait till like April 6th and then I'll have it. But it would be awesome. So wants to be first Xbox.
Somebody is getting a tax return on Xbox.
Probably. Next email from Nathan Ashton, who says, because I retweeted your tweet after the contest ended and I didn't win, Kappa. From Carnage did a giveaway and people were just retweeting it after it already ended, thinking it was still going on, which I enjoyed a lot. He says, in all seriousness, love me a good tower defense game. It's been a bit since I've played one, but I've been looking to play something new recently in the tower defense department, and this looks like a fair amount of fun compared to some tower defense games I've played. Although with all these easy 1Ks I've been playing, who knows if I have the skill anymore to do well. Thanks for the chance. Want some tower defense love. Next email from Michael Barodi. Oh, that's a familiar name. It says, why should I win? Maybe it's because it's still winter in Canada. I need something to play when I'm not playing Minecraft. I'm sure you would get a butterfly feeling from choosing me, knowing how much I pain from your enviable move to Twitch. Thank you for your consideration, Mike, aka Swizzlers on Mixer, and now Swizzlers on Twitch as well. So reason, it's cold.
I mean, if it's in Canada, it's never gonna be not cold. So.
I mean, yeah, true. And I mean, we just had snow
run
here
out of
too.
An excuse for entries here.
We just had snow here too. By the way, earlier in the episode, the first half of the show was recorded on Tuesday. This half is on Thursday. Yesterday we were supposed to get like 12 to 14 inches of snow. We got about 2. Yeah,
we got snow, but it didn't stick.
Yeah,
that's just depressing.
That's what happened with us. There was
when it goes away in 2 hours, makes you real sad.
Number 3 has just begged all year. All she's wanted is to build a snowman. And we did get one snow where it was like we got 7 inches, but it was that horrible powdery shit that you can't do anything with. And so she was so excited, and then she goes out, she couldn't make her snowman. So then, when it started snowing yesterday, she was like, "One more chance, I'm gonna build my snowman," and then none of it stuck. So she
You want to build a snowman? No, I can't.
No, just fuck the snow. Just get.
I think that's part of her
pounds of cocaine.
I think that's frowned upon, giving it to 5-year-olds to build cooking. Also, can I send her to you if I do that? Because, oh my God, die. Like, she already has no chill. I couldn't live with her. That's all there is to it. So, she'd be all yours. I'd be done.
Oh, man. Anyway, 2 more emails to go through, unless No Time for Games in chat decides to send one in very last second, like Swizzlers is suggesting they do. But John Harvey writes in and says, "I had the weirdest fucking dream the other night. I'm at a kid's birthday party for some reason, but I'm a grown-up. It's bright, sunny day. All the kids are running around. At first they look normal, all dressed up in their little party outfits. But after a few minutes, they're all boogers and drool, hyped up on loads of candy and sweet drinks. Like little sugar demons, they run around me in circles, screaming and yelling. Their mum appears, pure stereotypical Stepford wife. She has this fixed rictus grin and a huge blonde beehive hairstyle. She holds this huge cake with 5 big red candles on top. They all start singing happy birthday, and the mum says, 'Make a wish, darling.' It's then I notice the little black-haired girl. She emerges from the mass of little kids, steps forward, looks right at me, then after closing her eyes, blows out the candles. Instantly, all the kids start oohing and ahhing, walking towards me with outstretched hands, all grubby and sticky. I raise my arms to keep them away, but instead of hands, I had gingerbread hooves." I wish.
That escalated quickly.
That's a weird MLP, Sona.
Very much so, and we're only halfway through this. "I wished for a candy unicorn," screamed the birthday girl with delight as her party guests started ripping out lumps of my candy floss hair and tearing at my marzipan skin. I managed to gallop away, but the kids were close behind. I somehow found myself in one of those hedge mazes, and I ran around it in a blind panic, dodging booger-encrusted hands trying to grasp onto me at every opportunity. I get to the middle.
Okay, so did you have 2 TVs on, one watching The Shining and the other watching My Little Pony?
No, I'm thinking the other one was watching, what's the Harry Potter movie where Cedric dies in the maze?
That's the Goblet
Spoiler.
of Fire.
Yeah. Oh, if you haven't seen it yet, go away.
If you haven't seen it yet, watch the riff tracks.
I have not seen any of the Harry Potter riff tracks. I should do that. Did they do all of them?
Okay. We'll do CCs, and I'll bring up my hard drive that has all 7 of them.
Yes. Wait, 8? Should be 8.
8. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Where the hell was I? I got to the middle of the maze, and there in the center was a huge Secret of Mana-style tree with massive coconuts hanging from it. As the kids came running down the various paths toward the hedges, or through the hedges, I used my hooves and a red licorice lace from the strands that made up my tail to snipe at them, picking them off slingshot style, but there were too many and they overwhelmed me. Woke up with a shout when the kitties all pounced on me and started eating my candy ass. Literally. Don't know why I told you this, but it reminded me of a tower defense game when I thought about it later. Anyway, Defender's Quest. I heard about this when it released on PS4. A friend was recommending it to someone. Remember him telling me to see past the SNES-style sprites. The underneath was a very decent tower defense game. Not a genre I play much, so I'd welcome the experience. Thanks for the chance and good luck. What the?
I had a dream the other day where Weird Al came out with a new album, and his number one single was a satire version of Sanitarium called Pescatarian.
That would be amazing.
Like, I want him to do this now. But that dream that you had, how many pixie sticks did you need to get that sugar rush?
There had a cool JT in the chat. What the hell is this? This is called the contest. It is insane. Final email from John Prudlow, who says, Dear SML Podcast, Defender's Quest Valley of the Forgotten looks like a really, really interesting and unique game. The game has RPG elements that make it more compelling than a standard tower defense game. Being able to level up your companions and unlock unique skills and cast spells to aid in your defense is a cool concept. This sounds like a truly dynamic and enjoyable, replayable experience. I've put hours into Defense Grid and like to play the occasional RPG too, but this looks like a fun hybrid of games that could be classified into its own genre. RPG defense strategy games. Cool stuff. I'd love to win a copy. Thank you for your consideration. Making an executive decision. John's winning a copy just because it's a freaking normal entry. And actually wants the game.
We have to award one for normalcy.
But we
don't gotta cater to no normies.
we do have 3 more copies to give away out of the other 6. Talos wants to be humbled. Oroto shared the Cockroach Saga. Gregory wants it to be their first Xbox game. Nathan wants some cool tower defense love. Michael says it's cold in Canada. And John had the Licorice Unicorn Nightmare.
Who's getting the Xbox that doesn't have any games for it?
Gregory wants it to be their first Xbox game.
Yeah, my vote's there.
Stevo, do you have any?
I like the cockroach toilet.
All right, so Oroto wins a copy. And I saw in chat that they wanted the Crazy Dream Person to win. No Time for Games. I emailed, but this Crazy Dream Person should probably win. So I can't argue with that. John Harvey gets the 4th copy.
Now, what if Crazy Dream mixed over with cockroach poop?
Oh my God, that would be incredible. A poopy licorice unicorn sliding up someone's back and in their butt.
Yeah.
I'm done.
We did talk earlier today when we were streaming, doing City Skylines, about theoretical like movie crossovers, like the Flintstones meet the Jetsons. Yeah. And we came up with one that I would legitimately enjoy. I want Pee-wee Herman meets Metalocalypse.
Oh, God.
I can already see it happening in my mind. I want this to happen. I don't care who I need to suck. I want this to be a thing.
There you go.
Anyways, shall we continue?
Oh man! Next up, we got our reviews to take care of. We got a big...
All right, I'm going to bed. Good night.
We got a big chunk of games, and we're going to start off with Fear Effect Sedna, developed by Shushi, published by Square Enix Collective and Forever Entertainment, released March 6th on Xbox One, Switch, PC, and PS4 for $19.99. Fear Effect Sedna is a pausable, real-time tactical action game. Become reacquainted with the old team of Hannah, Rain, Deke, and Glass in a brand new adventure from Hong Kong to Greenland through Inuit mythology, and with new partners, will you dare to face the spirit world once again? Cole, tell us about Fear Effect's return.
So there's some very notable differences between Fear Effect Sedna and the previous Fear Effect entries.
And from what I hear, it's literally everything.
I was going to say, for one, it's 17 years have passed. The very first one was in 1999 on the PlayStation 1. And at that time, the combat problems were pretty prominent, and one of the biggest things that, was a struggle for the game. Thankfully, all that's gone because they literally kept nothing but the characters. So we have a return of Hannah and Rain, who are some lovable lesbian assassins. They're kind of your anti-hero, if you will. And they are tasked with stealing a statuette. It's very mundane. Seems kind of like easy work given what you're given, you're told about these characters. And everything from there just goes to hell. It can't just be, oh, we stole a statue and we're done, end of game. No, this turns into like the occult and some otherworldly supernatural shit comes into play. And I can't tell too much beyond that because I don't want to give away spoilers. But it slides off the rails very quickly. However, that is in line with the other Fear Effect games, is that's kind of just what it is. The other ones, though, had a very heavy emphasis on Chinese mythology. And for Fear Effect Sedna, they've actually gone for a, I can't pronounce it properly because of my accent, Inuit approach. They've used Inuit mythology instead of Chinese. It makes a little sense that they've switched it up because Fear Effect Sedna is not a true sequel for the Fear Effect series. This is more of like a spin-off. Yeah, they're kind of hoping to like revive the series enough to bring out a full-fledged Fear Effect 3. And this is kind of a test for the waters, if you will.
Which I can understand. It's a series we haven't seen since the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at like a 2-decade gap for a series, it makes sense to throw out a little bit of bait to see if it's going to catch on and still have that pizzazz. Unfortunately, there are still some combat problems, even though all of that has been, reworked from the original series, because the game now plays as an isometric, tactical, almost kind of a strategy shooter. So you have the isometric view of the room, and you use what's called a tactical pause to send your characters into certain areas of the room for combat. And so you can plan out like these elaborate plays if you're really like paying attention to the room and the environment and where everybody's placed. The problem is that when you unpause and then the AI takes over and is supposed to follow your strategy, it's really bad. Like, I don't care how many times I told Rain to duck down behind something, she didn't give a fuck, and she'd stand there and get shot. And you can only do so much. You can real time switch back and forth between the characters even after you set up a tactical route. But it just never really seemed to be effective. The AI was just kind of dead set on getting killed. And the game is absolutely littered to death with like medkits and stuff. So it almost kind of feels like they knew that was going to happen, and they were trying to just like literally band-aid over the shitty AI by giving you bandages everywhere. Apart from that, the actual, the environments are gorgeous. The cutscenes are pretty good. The voice acting is a little on the flat side, though. Sometimes the characters, when they're talking to each other, it doesn't quite feel like they're in the same room having a natural conversation. It's very much like somebody said this, and then they cut in the response, and then they cut in another comment, and then another response, and you're just like, okay. Nobody's really talking to each other. They're just all kind of talking at each other. But the art style and all of that's been updated. That looks great. It's nice to see, a focus on female, anti-hero type protagonists. We see the standard anti-hero male, trudging through and being a dickhead, and it's pretty standard form these days. But to see that flipped and have a female protagonist is kind of like, whatever, I'm gonna go in and shoot up everything and just go with it. It was a nice change of pace. I just wish the AI was not so dumb. There are also. I'm not done, Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
It's International Women's Day, and Joe's cutting me off.
I thought you were at a pause in between sentences. I was going to say, aside from the AI, is there any other negatives to the game? But fine.
No.
Whatever.
Cole gets to go on a 30-minute rant about International Women's Day now.
I mean, it's not like we're already over an hour, and the first half of the show was an hour, and we still have, 10 more reviews to do.
I can summarize.
Like 74 of them are mine, so they're going to be an hour each.
Oh boy, a reason for me to call out of work tomorrow.
I did want to mention, though, that there are puzzles thrown in. And so as frustrating as the combat can be, the puzzles are actually really satisfactory.
Nice.
In order to overcome them, you have to find clues for the solutions in the world around you. And so
Resident Evil style puzzles, or
I didn't really play any of the older like Resident Evil, so I'm not sure. I can't make that comparison. I'm sorry. I missed out like a huge gap of really cool games. And then Joe was also like, Joe's always like, oh, and then this game, and I'm like, never play that.
What? Are you telling me you never played all the exact same games that I did?
Right. Or any of them. I played Spyro.
Yay.
But it was nice to break through the combat because you could get extremely frustrated very quickly with it. So it was nice to break it up with the puzzles that didn't feel forced, and they didn't feel like they were hard just for the sake of being hard. If you looked around, you could solve them, and it was really satisfactory.
Cool.
And now I'm done, Joe.
So $20, what is your verdict?
I give this a really solid try it. It's not going to be for everybody. I think, though, that fans of the older Fear Effects, just from what I've seen in my research, are probably going to be pretty satisfied, especially with the changes where the tactical strategy stuff is a bit different, and the AI could use a little polish. But otherwise, I think it's a good entry into the series.
Cool. I want to check it out myself. I'm happy to see Fear Effect back, and I ended up picking it up myself. I just need time.
Nice.
Next game to talk about is called Cyber Dimension Neptunia 4 Goddesses Online, developed by Tamsoft and Compile Heart, published by Idea Factory International. This one came out February 27th on Steam for $49.99, previously on the PS4. In this hack-and-slash adventure, everyone's favorite 4 goddesses enter an online fantasy game world inspired by themselves. Choose from 12 characters, each with a unique play style, to fight in 4-person real-time brawls, unleash devastating awakening skills, customize with tons of cosmetic accessories, and even play online with others. Stevo, tell us about this one.
Well, first of all, I'm going to go on a 40-minute tirade about how stupid the Neptunia's series naming is, because it just makes no sense. It's only outdone by Kingdom Hearts and Metal Gear Solid in terms of convoluted naming. But I will say thank you very much for giving me 2 games that are both made by Tamsoft, because I
got you,
really
boo.
like... I appreciate that. So Tamsoft has previously made other games in the Neptunia series. Specifically, I think it was Hyperdimension Neptunia versus Zombies, which was really, really fun. And it was. Their pedigree is really good for third-person style, like hack-and-slash brawler kind of deals. And the way they did this pseudo-MMO, which... If you've played something like Dot Hack, you're probably familiar, or like Final Fantasy XII, you're familiar with something feeling like an MMO, but not being an MMO, like the NPCs, the world building, exploration, all that stuff feels like MMO design. Whereas this takes that to the next level, like there are NPCs that you talk to in town. Town's not like an exploratory system, but it's an overlay, and there's random characters that show up, and their sayings change all the time, and the characters that are there change all the time. If you're new to the Neptunia series, the characters are based upon... It's kind of strange. Have you ever... Joe, this is a question for you as well as for you, Cole. Are you familiar with the fact that some pieces of software and hardware have like theoretical anime girls designed after them?
I know they do it with the Neptunia games, but in other things, not really.
If you can believe it, like all the different releases of Microsoft Windows have tons for them, which is what they call it, like Windows 98 ton, Windows XP ton. So this game series anthropomorphizes the game consoles and the companies behind it. You know, you've got your Sony, you've got your Nintendo, you've got your Sega, of course, because it includes everything. Neptunia, I believe, as the main character, is based off of the Sega Saturn. So, of course, near and dear to my heart. But
nice.
It is very interesting. It's JRPG-ish, but the translation is better than most. The only problem is in most of the games, and this one is no exception to that, the canned lines for, like, in battles are a little overly recycled. So for this release in particular on the PC, there's a couple of hiccups on it. The overall gameplay is, you travel to different areas. You've got 3 virtual people around you. You can build your team, and you go and you hack and slash and kill a bunch of monsters. The controls are a little weird, and it's not helped by the fact that you can only remap some of them. There are some controls that are listed, but for some reason grayed out, and you can't change them.
Oh, fun.
Yep. The combo system is similar to something like Phantasy Star Online, only a little bit less wonky. I had some technical issues where I got stuck in-game initiating a mock battle during the tutorial from which I couldn't exit, and I couldn't Alt F4.
Oh, God.
So, it was a little weird. There's also some text issues that specifically I found a couple typos, including the used a couple of times. It does offer you the Japanese voice if you get annoyed by the English one, but overall the characters are really well fleshed out. They're endearing. There's a lot of character interaction. There is a lot of text and dialogue in this game, like probably 60-40 text to action balance. But Tamsoft did a pretty good job with the battle system. I played through it to getting to guild level 3 or 4, and it was surprisingly enjoyable. I spent a lot of time. I didn't get to try any of the multiplayer stuff because obviously I was out of internet due to a tree. But overall, I would say it is a port, and it's not the best port, but if you like hack and slash games, or if you're already a fan of the Neptunia series, you should definitely try it. There's a lot of content there. There's a lot of stuff to do. Even, like I was mentioning the Tons earlier, they even made Tamsoft, the developer, into a character in the game. She's the blacksmith, and she is a well-fleshed-out anime lady. Like, that's what they do. And then, of course, there is a lot of, not a lot of, but there is a lot of allusions to risque fan servicey kind of deals. I took a couple screenshots. Within the first 10 minutes of the game, one character was already smothered in and collided with another character's boobies.
Nice.
In fact, on my list here of talking points, I just have the 2 words, bouncy, bouncy, listed, as that is one of the lines of dialogue in the game.
Bouncy, bouncy.
Bouncy, bouncy. Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
More
Happy
so
International Women's Day.
Yeah. Look, again, this is also done with relative respect and levity.
Hey, wait for another 10 minutes. We're going to have another good one. But So $50 on this one, you give it a try it, eh?
I would give it a try it, yes. Honestly, I would say wait for it to go down to 30 because of unless they somehow within the first couple of weeks fix the technical issues that I experienced. I would give it a solid try it. If you're a fan of hack and slash, MMOs, dialogue heavy stories with cute anime girls, or anything by Tamsoft.
Nice.
So
Sounds good. Next game to talk about is called Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, developed by Dimps, published by Bandai Namco, released February 23rd, Xbox One, PS4 for $59.99, PC for $49.99. Experience an original story where you are the protagonist in a world of Gun Gale Online. Create your own avatar and explore devastated lands while experiencing exciting third-person shooting in this action RPG. First thing to get out of the way, this is the first time we have a Sword Art Online game on Xbox One, and to the disappointment of a number of people, this isn't like a hack and slash action RPG. This is a third-person shooter action RPG. Mm-hmm. And the Sword Art series kind of had a reputation as like bright, colorful areas, blue skies, green grasses, hack and slash swords, magic, dragons, and this isn't that at all. And a lot of people are disappointed. That said, what is there is a really, really solid third-person shooter RPG. You start the game logging into Gun Gale Online. So this is like back-to-back games where you're in a game within a game. And unlike Cyber Dimension, there is not a ton of waifu content in this game. Although there is a breast slider in the game. You're able to adjust the bosom size. So again, Women's Day.
We're not doing this very well, are we?
No, not at all. But yeah, it's sexuality is not like a primary component to this game.
Also, to be fair, there's a difference between sexuality and objectification. So
true.
I would say that the stuff that I at least was talking about until the next game is not objectification. Oh God, I am not going to come back with any extra friends today.
See, we're laughing because we know what's next. No one else has any idea. But Sword Art Online, you start off logging into this game and running into an old childhood friend of yours who's going to show you the ropes in Gun Gale Online, teach you how to play. And you right away enter a tournament to try and like be the best in the world or in the online realm or whatever else. And in doing so, you accidentally stumble upon an incredibly rare AI in the game that it pretty much you become its master. And she will follow you around. She's basically your number 2 sidekick in the game, beating up everything with you. And from there, the story just evolves from there of like, you have this very rare AI, other people don't, and you proceed through the game and, foibles and follies ensue. Gameplay, fairly standard third-person shooter, very, very helpful with aiming. They have a fairly large on-screen reticule that if anything's in there, you just immediately target it and hit it for the most point. You could still miss attacks based on whatever stats you have. But for the most part, if you're bad at shooters, that's not going to be an obstacle in this game. Like, I'm fairly bad at a lot of shooters, but I still did fairly well in this game. They do have melee in the game as well. They do have some sword attacks, but the main focus in Sword Art Online is guns and shooting things. You can pick up different mini quests that you go out in addition to the main storyline of, like kill X number of monsters. It's very MMO-ish in the terms of what quests and events you could pick up and do. But it works. It doesn't require a constant online presence. They do have online events of PvE and PvP that you can partner up with people online and go through. But it's not something that you're required to be online and play. Even the online events that you can do in the game, you could choose to do it with all AI if you really wanted. So if you're worried about playing with randoms and thinking this is
I hate other filthy humans.
I know, aren't they ugly?
That's the first thing you go for. They're ugly. All the terrible things, Joe.
Yeah, overall, Sword Art is a really, really solid third-person shooter, but it's not the RPG that a lot of people were wanting. People on PlayStation and PC might not care as much because, they've had other Sword Art games and they have a healthy lineup of RPGs. Xbox gamers might feel a bit let down, but if you are worried that this is more a shooter than a traditional RPG, I would still give it a shot. There are some negatives to the game. The beginning, it just front loads you with text and text and text and prompts and tutorials, and it's kind of overbearing. After like the second hour of just constant tutorial windows popping up and explaining this and explaining that, I'm just spamming through the windows like I don't give a fuck, just let me kill things. That's all I wanted to do at that point. I just wanted to go back out. It's trying to tell me, like, go talk to these people to proceed in your tutorial quest. I'm like, no, I'm just going to pick up a quest, go outside and murder things, because that's all I wanted to do. And I did it. But the other main issue is loading time. There are a ton of loading screens, and they're not the quickest. It kind of annoying when you just want to get stuff done, but it's like, oh, I'm going to transport from this area of a map to this area of the same map. And there's 15 seconds of loading, and you're just sitting there like, okay, here's another loading screen. It's just too much loading. I hope that they can optimize the game, make it a bit more streamlined, a bit quicker. That said, there is a lot of fun. It is really enjoyable. I've poured a ton of time into it. I am going to pour more time into it. $60, I give it a very solid try it. Xbox gamers, it is a fucking buy it, because we need more RPGs on the console, and you should support RPGs on Xbox One. Even if they're more shooter than RPG. But yeah, good stuff. I really enjoyed it. Any questions from the peanut gallery?
Women's Day.
Yeah, for the next one, right, Stevo?
So I was at ODUCon recently, and I ended up picking this up, Joe, if you can see it.
Yes, I can.
So just gonna randomly flip open here. This is all like, there's no actual nudity, but
we are streaming, so
I said there's no nudity. This is from the games that you play. These are from games that I stream on Twitch myself. Okay. Like, believe me. And also, I have not stickied anything in here yet. I can't
wait.
It.
I can't wait to lose affiliate on my first night being an affiliate on Twitch.
You will not. I assure you, you will not. So yeah, this is what the Senran Kagura series is about. If you've never, ever seen it or played it, Senran Kagura is sort of a Devil May Cry style series.
I should announce the game first.
Okay.
So next game to talk about, Stevo, what game is this? Since you're
Senran
so good at
Kagura
pronouncing it.
Peach Beach Splash.
Peach Beach Splash, developed by Tamsoft,
PBS.
published by Xseed Games and Marvelous USA, released March 7th on Steam for $39.99. A Sexy Soaker limited edition is available for $49.99. Includes a special DLC set and a 47-song soundtrack. So that sounds...
I'll get into the soundtrack in a few minutes, but get it. Just saying...
Definitely sounds worth the extra $10 there. The buxom shinobi of Senran Kagura are back, and they've traded their katanas for water guns in this third-person splasher. Customize your team, lead them through battles across a sprawling single-player campaign, or go online and take on teams worldwide. Come on in, the water's great. Stevo, perv out for us.
I lied. There might actually be some nudity in this book. Not any of the pictures I showed. Okay, it's like when you remove nipples from a picture. That's the anime style of unrealistic nipples. So the Senran Kagura series, the canon series, is a third-person brawler similar to Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. You play as one of many. There's 4 houses in total, scantily clad shinobi ninjas. There's Hebejo. Oh, God, I'm just going to blank on the names. Anyways, there's 4 of them. That's all you need to know. There's good, there's evil, there's like lawful, neutral, and renegade. And I'm a big fan of the series. The gameplay traditionally is a lot of fun, very solid. And the soundtrack is great. Visuals are great. It's a super well optimized. Tamsoft does a wonderful job creating and optimizing these games. Xseed Games, my favorite localizer. They do a great job with the material. They take most of the double and triple entendres and make them into stuff that we can get contextually for our culture. there are a few spin-off games in the series. There's a rhythm game called Bon Appetit. There is this game in particular is a very big veering off because it I want to say it sort of falls in line with a squad-based tactical shooter, but it's with water guns, and your goal is to get other girls wet. And if you think that innuendo is bad, you're not going to like the rest of the game. It is marvelously debaucherous. And for as terrible of fan service as it is, and there is a lot of fan service, there's a lot of clothing destruction in these games. And, of course, even the smallest aspect of the game, like charging your water gun, the pump on the water gun, has just a bit of a sexual tone to it.
Shocking. Absolutely surprised at that.
But for all of that, it is every character in it is a strong female lead, basically, minus a couple of the teachers who are male. But all of the characterization is great. They actually give all of the different girls' motivations and backstories that make you care about them. This one is more of a levity fest, but they still include a couple points of seriousness. Like in a couple of the other games, there's some pretty traumatizing events that happen, and they don't spend as far as I was able to play, unfortunately, again due to the internet, they seemed to be going along the lines of introducing the same similar themes here. So it is squad-based shooting with water guns, and like there are like team attacks and special moves, and overall it's just stupid, silly, somewhat competitive fun. The PC release, unfortunately, has horribly botched keyboard and mouse controls. I am a keyboard and mouse purist. I will say that I almost immediately switched over to playing with a gamepad because of how awful the controls were mapped out, and as far as I could tell, you can't modify them at all for keyboard and mouse.
This was originally on PlayStation, so to hear that, that controller support is that bad.
No, controller support is fine.
Okay.
Keyboard and mouse is horrendous.
Okay. I'm so used to hearing controller support on a PC game is bad that's what my brain automatically heard. The controller support. Okay. Sorry, so, I fucked you up.
No, that's absolutely fine. For the price, though, and the fact that you can get the deluxe digital edition, which, in my opinion, the soundtracks alone in this series are worth getting. There is a bit of a DLC fest, especially with Shinobi Versus and Estival Versus as of late, sort of going into the whole. You can get packs for it, but there's a lot of individual costume items that you can get extra but are not included with the game. I give it an extremely enthusiastic, if you get my meaning, try it. Or if you're a fan of the Senran Kagura series, buy it with a caveat that if you have to play with a keyboard, skip this. It's a third-person shooter that you have to play with a keyboard on a system that has that supports gamepads on a system that supports keyboard and mouse. And I think it's really, really dumb that they botched that so bad. The game looks great. It runs well. Of course, it's got all of the stuff that you could want in terms of expectations for fan service from this. And Xseed, as always, does a fantastic translation.
Cool. Yeah, I guess it sounds like if someone has PlayStation 4, that might be the better version to go with.
I wouldn't even say it's the better version because the PC version runs great, and I was playing on an Xbox 360 controller, which was fine. Like, there's no issues with the engine or anything, and I do believe it
just keyboard and mouse support.
Like, that was my biggest complaint. It's if you need to play with a keyboard and mouse, avoid this. Do not buy it. Do not try it. But if you're okay playing shooter games with a controller, I would highly recommend it, as long as you are not somebody who cannot handle some lewdness or some intentional innuendo. It's for people like me who don't know the definition of the word shame. Not something you want your mom walking in on you playing.
Very true. Oh, man. Well, Stevo, that's your 2 games for the night. Did you want to hang around, or did you have to get going?
I should get going. I still got to shower, and I'm supposed to swim tomorrow morning. I'm trying to keep on this this exercise regimen, but I had a lot of fun, and I would love to come back anytime you want me.
Sounds good. Let's do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely. And Cole, it was a pleasure meeting you.
It was nice to meet you too.
Don't lie.
And in all sincerity,
it was moderately acceptable.
In all sincerity, happy International Women's Day to everyone.
All right, next game to talk about is called Into the Breach, developed and published by Subset Games. It released February 27th on Steam for $14.99. From the makers of FTL, control the powerful mechs from the future to defeat an alien threat. Each attempt to save the world presents a new randomly generated challenge in this turn-based strategy game. Getting the hot tag on this one. Once again, Tim Ekibis, how are you doing today?
Awesome.
All right.
Slingshotting in, springboard drop kick, right in your face. Another standing drop kick. I'm fired up.
So tell me, what is Into the Breach? I know everybody has been talking about this one. As soon as you got it to review, like 4 other people wanted it. So what is this game?
Yeah, I got in there early. I was like, I saw that one coming. From the makers of FTL, and I fucking loved FTL. That game is awesome. And this game is very different, but also not that different in the general feel. So yeah, you have, it's a turn-based strategy game. You have these kind of, discrete little, like, it's like a 3/4 view. You got these discrete little grids. So think like a Final Fantasy Tactics-ish perspective, except the maps are pretty small. They're only, for the most part, like 8x8. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. I don't know exactly, but they're small. You only got 3 units on your side that you're controlling, and the battles are only on average like 4 turns long. Some are longer, it depends. So, and after those 4 turns, like, mission success, you made it, you're good, you move on. So it's not like these long, protracted, drawn out battles like in a, your average turn-based strategy game. Like, they're these little discrete instances, and then you move on to the next mission. So it has a really good pace to it in that sense.
So the battles don't overstay their welcome, like in nearly every other game.
They do not overstay their welcome. And it's interesting because, so, FTL is a game, if you've played some FTL, if you've played it especially on, normal difficulty or higher, maybe even on easy, that game is out to wreck you in some horrible ways. Just shit goes terribly wrong. It's a run-based game like that, and that sometimes just the cards don't fall in your favor. Sometimes you just make some bad decisions that you have to live with, and you move forward. And
you get your shit wrecked like the Inkling in that trailer.
Yeah, and you gotta learn, like in any good roguelike run-based game, you gotta learn and figure out how to make better decisions in the future. So it's, say you got your mechs and you drop into a battle and you have, okay. Yeah. So the way the game is set up, there's like 4 or 5 different islands, right?
Okay.
Each island is controlled by a corporation. Those corporations are paying you to try to get the aliens off of their island. And this is all happening in the past. Like, you're from the future trying to stop this alien invasion by sending mechs back in time. Don't get hung up on it too much.
So it's Back to the Future?
Sort of. So, but on an island, any given island, there will be, you'll have 2-3 missions available at any given time. Missions have bonus objectives. You want to keep people from dying. You have to keep the energy level of the island up to keep your mechs charged. So things that can happen during missions that screw this up are the aliens will attack and destroy cities, power plants, your mechs have pilots. If they destroy your mech with a pilot in it, that pilot could very well be dead and gone forever.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Permadeath in the game?
Yeah, in that sense. Well, it's, you have to live and let go, basically. Because sometimes your pilots will end up going back in time, and on a future run, you will find them along the way. You'll be able to recover their time pod and get them back.
Interesting.
Yeah?
Very interesting.
Yeah, like you'll be in the middle of a battle and a time pod will fucking crash in the middle of the thing, and if you pick it up, you might have one of your guys in it from a past run who went back in time.
Cool as hell.
Yes. Yeah, or it might just be like some random guy or some random parts or something, but it's cool. So, like, what happens at the beginning of a battle? what happens first on a turn is the enemies will act and set up their attack, so you can see what they're going to attack, be it a unit or a city or something like that. A lot of what you then do on your attack involves, like, there's a lot of pushing around in this game. So if you push an enemy out of line, if it doesn't die, it's still going to attack. Like, so if you push it 1 square to the right, its attack also moves 1 square to the right. So it could go from, if you're not careful, attacking a city or something like that to attacking just another one of your units, and then that unit dies. So you got to think ahead a little bit, like, what
can you make them attack their own troops?
Yes, you can.
Fuck yeah.
Yes, you can.
And I'm guessing they could make you attack your own troops as well.
No, because your movements and attacks happen all one after the other, whereas they set up and then they do their movements. And so they'll move and then set up their attack. So at the end of the turn, they do their attacks, assuming they're still alive, and that all plays out that way. So like some of the aliens, they're all like bug things, have like a charge attack where they'll charge like all the way across the board. So they could be attacking a city, you knock them off one thing, and then they just go right to the edge, whatever. Or there's some enemies where if they fall in water, they die instantly. So you could just push them such that they charge straight into a pond and die, just like that. It's cool. It is gonna screw you over, and it's funny because the maps are so small, and you'd think like, oh, there's not a lot to think about here, but there is so much to think about there. Especially if you're like the average objective is just to survive 4 turns. There's always bonus objectives, so you will get hung up on trying to complete those, whether it's keeping cities from being destroyed or important buildings from being destroyed or goddamn fucking trains from being destroyed. Good luck with that. But after those 4 turns, like that's it, you move on. And the game auto saves. So it's like you can't like try to save scum your way through. And it's fine. You just gotta let it go, man. You just gotta let it go.
Man, so the people who get paranoid about losing characters in games, they're gonna just flip their shit with this game,
they shouldn't, because you can't do anything. You just can't. Just don't worry about it.
Just maybe like this will help them break the habit.
Yeah, man, like playing XCOM on Iron Man mode. It's just like if they die, it's just like, oh, that's it. They're dead. There, it's gone. I'll figure it out. I'll move on with my life. This is what Dark Souls has turned me into.
So I am hearing nothing but positives, any kind of negatives at all.
I'll get to that, the minor negative here in a second. But I'll just say it tickles a bit of an Advance Wars itch. It's not really like Advance Wars, but I think something about it just being so like small and simple and straightforward with what your units can do and how the map looks, like kind of like it's not like something like XCOM where it's like really complicated with the angles and the cover and this, that, and the other thing, or Final Fantasy Tactics where guys have where there's like tons and tons of things to consider. Like there's plenty to consider, but it's still small enough that like you can wrap your head around it. Like I feel easier. Yeah. Beef with this game.
Let's hear it.
No. I got more things to talk about. Sorry. So when you finish an island, and you earn the praise of that corporation, at that point you can then you will earn recognition points or reputation points, something like that, where you can buy new weapons or hire new pilots and stuff for your mechs. You can sell off old weapons to be able to buy more. And some of that stuff will go back in time as well. So again, decisions need to be made, and there's different weapons will do different damage, different positioning. Some will drop status effects and stuff like that. Your mechs are customizable. Beyond just putting a pilot in them, they will operate on AI, though they work better with a pilot. But also, you'll get these energy cores where you put them on one of your units, and then that lets you upgrade like your movement, your health, your damage, and stuff like that. And yeah, so when you die, you go back, start a new run, you go back in time and try it again. That's kind of the flow of the game. Going through, doing these upgrades, trying to learn, hopefully get a little bit lucky, and make it through to defeat the fucking bullshit boss at the end. I mean, anyone that made it to the freaking motherships in FTL knows what I mean. And I did beat one of those things, and it was a pain in the dick, and it was a lucky run. And there was many runs where I just I was doing great, got to that last ship, and just got hosed so hard. My only real beef with this game is that
the fucking bullshit boss.
No, it's just that like, man, it is so built for like play on the go. Like the way you have these discrete little levels. It's not a bad game on PC by any means, but man, like the only thing,
this needs to be a Switch game, basically.
My only reservation would be like, hey, maybe wait for your iOS, Google Play, Switch port before you buy. But it's great as it is, but it'll be even better, I feel, in portable fashion.
Nice. So the $15 asking price, presuming that it's not going to any other platforms.
Yeah, assuming that. Just as a game, it's totally worth that. It's awesome. And I don't think it comes free with FTL anymore.
No, that was a launch window thing.
So that was a launch window thing. So if you weren't already tempted in by that, if you don't already have FTL, what's wrong with you? But yeah, this is a clear progression from that. It's a great game, looks great, sounds great. It's
really
great.
Good.
It's really good, man.
Cool. Well, Tim, thank you as always for coming on and chatting about this stuff. Before you vanish back into the night, do you have any final thoughts to sum it all up?
Oh man, life's a breach and then you die.
Oh God.
Oh man.
All right, back to us. Next game to talk about is called The Story Goes On, developed by Scarecrow Arts, published by Kiss Limited. It released March 2nd on Xbox One for $7.99, and it left Steam Early Access the same day. You are the hero inside this storybook of an obsessed author pondering with his life's work. Explore repeating worlds, befriend a talking scarecrow, and swing your sword really fast while uncovering the true, overarching adventure within. Cole, tell us about this one.
So, I like to refer to this as baby's first roguelike. The story goes on, takes place, and kind of the mind of a crazed author who hasn't been able to finish his story, which kind of goes counterproductive to the baby's first roguelike, but I'll get there in a minute. Hang with me here. So, you play as Aiden initially, who is basically going through this author's story, and it's incomplete. And as you hack and slash your way through these dungeons, you're finding items and you're changing the story. So this is your classic dungeon crawler, roguelite type game. Think Binding of Isaac and Enter the Gungeon type of play, but not quite as difficult. You can play tons and tons of Binding of Isaac and still just be really bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad. I've beat maybe 1/3 of Binding of Isaac, and yet I sat down on my third playthrough, my third run of The Story Goes On, and I literally went through about 60% of the game in one run. I was able to just fly through
the 6 worlds, or through all the
worlds
repeated...
and everything. I unlocked all of the extra characters that you can get in one run, and I got I think I got 4 of the 6 pages. Nice. Yeah. First time I played the game, I died in the second world because I was still getting the hang of it. Second time I played it, I beat all 6 of the worlds, went back through and got 2 of the dungeons on my second time playing. Yeah. Yeah, it's really quick and easy to pick up. And I think I think one of the greatest things about it, and the reason I keep referring to it as baby's first roguelite, is that it's really accessible to more casual players who want to get into the roguelite genre. And because of that, it never really feels like it's unfair. Like if you die, you know why you fucked up. Yeah. There's only so many things that can happen. So, never did I feel like I died because of some random nuance that I just couldn't get past or couldn't have done anything about. If I died, it was because I jacked up somewhere. And I think that's one of the things that drew me into the game, because I knew when I got farther, it was because I had done better. And it wasn't just, item luck. A lot of the items, and this will get me to my one gripe here in a minute, but a lot of the items didn't have descriptions for what they were or how they changed the game. So I often found I was like, okay, well, I got a thing, but I don't know what it does. And I just kept going. And I didn't feel like I was hindered in any way by not knowing what the items were. I would like if it just fucking told me what the rabbit does. What does the rabbit do?
Oh,
you don't know either.
Fuck. Was that the one you bought in the weapon shop?
No. It's just it would show up as a random item, and the icon is a little bunny with like flowers by the ears, and it's just a little rabbit that follows you around.
Because I think I bought something in the weapon shop that was an animal. I want to say it was the bunny, but it might have been something else.
You probably can buy it in the item shop, but
But after so long, it just turned into like this giant monster that would wreck shit for me.
Really?
Yeah, that was really cool.
Why didn't mine do that?
I don't know.
All I ever saw was it just sitting by the door. Like at one point, my husband was like, maybe it's just trying to tell you which door you should be going through. I was like, I don't know. It just stands there.
I don't know.
It's just a rabbit. But that was my only complaint about the game was just like, I don't know what some of this shit does. And it would have been nice because some of the items do have descriptions. Yeah. Like, oh, this fills your ammo, or this, you can throw it, or whatever, or it bounces around. And that was really helpful, but there's not any kind of Wikipedia or, the equivalent of like Platinum God or anything like that for the story goes on yet. Anyway, I hope that it picks up traction and that, that kind of community support becomes a thing for it. Yeah. Because I'd like to know what the fucking rabbit does.
I will say I have been ungodly addicted to this game. You're the one who did this review, and I think I probably played it more than you.
Maybe. I played a lot of it, too.
Because
kind of to the detriment of my other reviews, because I was just busy playing this.
Same with me. I couldn't stop playing this. I think I was the first person on TA to actually beat the final boss of the game, which I thought was nifty. Although I didn't get credit until 2 days later because I was having some issues with achievements popping. But holy shit, I love this game. I know we talk about our whole Hall of Fame stuff, and I think this is a definite contender.
It's good. It really is. And I like roguelike games, but for a lot of them, I feel like they're difficult for the sake of being difficult.
Yeah.
And they kind of, even though I like them, I feel like a lot of times you just get, fucked unfairly. And I never felt that way with this. And that was a big deal to me to just be like, you know what? I know I can walk into the rooms and take on the enemies with whatever I've got, whether I'm using, the extra unlockable characters, or if I'm just using Aiden, if I'm stacked up, if I've got good stats, or if I'm just rolling in, with standard 1 bar of damage.
Yeah.
If I'm careful, I can still get through it. And that's kind of rare in the roguelite genre. So that was one of the things that just really tipped me off about it the most. Was one of the few times I've ever played a roguelite where I've just been like, this game is accessible to me.
Cool. So $8 your verdict.
I want to give it a buy it, but also
okay, so buy it. Yes.
Well, yeah. I'm just going to say, I want to throw out there too, though, like if you're really on the fence about it and you're not sure if you're even going to like a roguelite game or whatever, it's under $10 and it qualifies for a fuck it, why not? It really does.
Why not is a step between buy it and try it. So for me, this is just straight up buy it.
Yeah, it's a buy it, but if somebody's sitting there going, I don't think I like roguelites, or I don't think I could be any good at that. Fuck it, why not? Just buy it and see that I'm not wrong, that it's really accessible to everybody.
I agree. Well, next game to talk about is called Gravel, developed by Milestone, published by Milestone and Square Enix. This one released February 27th on Xbox One, PS4, and Steam for $49.99. Gravel is the ultimate off-road experience, the most extreme racing game that will let you try out amazing stunts in the wildest places on the planet. We covered a milestone game last week or the week before, Monster Energy Supercross, and I was kind of iffy on that one. It was enjoyable, but I had some physics issues and other gripes. Gravel hit all of my buttons perfectly. This is more vehicles instead of bikes. So you are in trucks, you are in buggies, you are in rally cars, and it is fucking awesome. First off, the game is gorgeous. In 4K, this game looks beautiful. It does still have some best I could say is milestone weirdness. Like if I didn't know this was a milestone going in, a milestone game, I would know by playing it. Just weird collision feelings and physics. Just it's I can't really put it into words. It just, you can tell it's a milestone game. Even something where you drive through water. In a game like Forza, if you drive through water, water's going to splash up onto the screen and then go away. In this one, when you drive into water, the window is just immediately filled with water. There's no gradual to it. It eventually gradually goes away. Even if you're still driving through water, it will gradually go away, which doesn't make sense. Just weirdness. But if those are my gripes with the game, that says a lot. That's like my only issues with the game. Yeah. The game is treated kind of like a TV show where everything is split up into episodes. You'll go into an episode and you'll have maybe like a destination race here where you have a start and an end and you have to go through checkpoints on the way. Another one might be like an arena cross rally race where it's a tiny, really tight, small track with multiple laps. Then the next one might be, in a snowy out, just wilderness area, just driving through. And the next one might be on a wet track. I'm watching the video, so I'm just stealing my thoughts from watching the video. But it is always changing things up. It is always keeping things fresh. In between the episodes, every couple of episodes, you'll have a special episode where you go against, remember in not the newest Need for Speed, the one before it, how they would have like professionals that you would go up against. They kind of have that in here. And also in the same horrible live action video stuff, it's like guys who don't normally act like they're badasses trying to act badasses where they're like clenching their fist and trying to look tough. Companies, please stop doing live action shit. It's awful. Please. It is just, I laughed at it more than I was like, ooh, this is going to be a really tough race. But the game is just so much fun. I stream this one because I've been trying to get more into streaming lately, trying to do a bit more, trying to get our Twitch profile up. And this one seemed to do really well. A lot of people were dropping by. A lot of people were watching it, asking me about it. And I was having a blast with it. It controls well. The handling is good. The visuals are fantastic. Soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack was fucking metal on some of the songs. Halfway through my stream, I just dropped most of the volume and just bumped the music all the way up, and I was rocking out. $50 on this one. If you're looking for a solid racing game to tide you over until the inevitable Forza Horizon 4 comes out this fall, and if you enjoyed the episodic aspect of something like Split Second, absolutely buy this game. Otherwise, if you're not sure, you've played milestone games in the past and just something about them didn't really sit well with you, because they do have a unique style that you can just tell. Again, it's hard to put into words. I would still give this a very recommended try it. Find it at a Redbox, hit up Gamefly, do whatever, try this game. I love it. So $50, buy it. That's my verdict.
Nice.
Next game is called One-Eyed Kuth.
I've been pronouncing it Kuth or Kuth. I can't even do it now. I had it right, and now I don't have One-Eyed Kuth.
The best thing is I asked the publisher how it's pronounced, and they linked me to a Wikipedia page that basically says it doesn't have a real pronunciation. So Kutkh is how it's spelled. Developed by Baba Yaga Games, published by Sometimes You, released March 9th on Xbox One, Switch, PS4, and Vita for $4.99. A single traveler on his way home crashes on a mysterious planet. To continue his journey, he'll have to get to the ninth heaven, deceive the sun and the moon, and steal their space boats. Cole, what the hell is this one?
That description is like, it tells you a lot more about playing the game than playing the actual game. So this is one of those games that's, the story is told very much through the visuals. There's no dialogue. It's a puzzle, and it's very, very short. So you do play as a little space alien, and his little spaceship breaks down, and he crash lands on this planet. And in an attempt to fix his spaceship, he realizes he's lost one of the gears. And so he has to go on an adventure to try to find his gear. And this leads to him actually starting a fight between the sun and the moon. Because the sun and the moon have little space boats that he thinks that if he puts them together, they'll fix his ship in place of the gear. And that's not the way it works out. So then the people of the planet have to then A, help the little alien fix his ship, and B, get the sun and the moon to stop fighting with each other. And if I tell anything more than that, we're dipping into spoiler territory. And when you've got a $5 game, you don't want to spoil it. So
very true.
It is very narrative. To control it, you don't actually use the analog stick or the D-pad to move your little character. You have little dialogue boxes that will pop up over top of him or her, as the case may be. And you just click whether you want to go left, whether you want to go right, or whether you want to interact with whatever you're standing beside of. So the whole game is played out in these little thought bubbles. There's, like I said, there's no words, there's no text, there's no dialogue, nothing. It's just all through these little graphics that you solve the puzzles and progress through the story. This kind of game is incredibly niche. I love shit like this. The colors were bright, everything was very surreal, and there was a lot of thought that had gone into just every little aspect of the scene, because the whole story is told through the environment and the interactions with the characters without words. That even something as simple as like graffiti on the wall in the like in a pipe or what have you, tells you more about the story if you're paying attention to it. So that's the kind of aspect of it that I really enjoy. But if you're not into that kind of thing and you're still wondering, should I bother with this game, then let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room, and that this is a 30-minute game. And it is a 30-minute completion for all of the achievements. And there are a lot of people who are very happy about that. You can get everything one playthrough. You don't even need a guide if you pay attention to what the achievements tell you to do.
So the important thing, is it worth the $5?
I think so, very much, yes. But because I realize that it is niche, and there's people that are just going to buy it for the achievement aspect and not really like focus on the story and how everything is told like a fairy tale or what have you. I'm more inclined to give this a fuck it, why not? I think it deserves a buy it, but again, it's niche, and I know that, so I'm going to settle on the fuck it, why not, because of that. But if you're into like the little quirky, unique kind of experiences, and you don't mind paying a couple bucks for something that's a little on the shorter side, this is definitely one you're going to want to get.
Cool. Sounds good. Next game to talk about is called The Darkest Dungeon, developed and published by Red Hook Studios, ported by Knockout Games, released February 28th on Xbox One for $24.99. Lost my spot here. The Crimson Edition, which is available for $24.99, includes the game and the Crimson Court and is only available for 60 days. After that, the game will be available itself for $24.99 and the Crimson Court for $9.99. Darkest Dungeon is a challenging gothic roguelike turn-based RPG, that's a lot of descriptors, about the psychological stresses of adventuring. Recruit, train, and lead a team of flawed heroes against unimaginable horrors, stress, famine, disease, and the ever-encroaching dark. Can you keep your heroes together when all hope is lost? Let's get this out of the way right now. If you don't like hard games, run immediately. The way this plays out is it is a dungeon crawling roguelike where every quest, every adventure you go on is going to have a different layout. You start in a room and you have a map where it shows you all the rooms, all the pathways. When you're in a room, you could select up, down, left, or right, depending on where the walkways and the pathways are in the dungeon. And as you go through, you'll encounter, items that you can ransack, or you'll run into traps, or you'll run into battles. The battles play out like turn-based RPGs. Everyone takes their turn. You're on the left, enemies on the right, and you basically fight it out. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to kick your ass. You might not die every time, but you'll get your ass kicked handily. For every time that you get one critical hit on them, they'll get about a dozen on you, and you'll miss half the other times. It is just, even on easy, this is a game that does not hold your hand. It doesn't want to hold your hand. And if you're looking to have your hand held, it wants to punch you in the throat for being a pussy. How's that? As you fight, if your characters lose all their hit points, they get one final hit. Like their health will be flashing. And if they get hit one more time, they're dead. Completely. Permadeath. They are gone for good. The first party I made in this game, I gave everyone unique names. There was Joe Cam and Ash Cam and Purvis J. Wilmington III and just a bunch of goofy names and long story behind that name. But there were a ton of cool names that I put on all these characters, and I went into the dungeon. Half of them died. So all that work was for naught. In between dungeon runs, once you get back, if you either complete the dungeon, which can happen sometimes if you're persistent, if you get through it, you'll go back to town, you'll get rewarded for what you did, and then you'll move on to the next one. If you decide that you're getting your ass kicked too much, you are always allowed to just retreat back to town and save the heroes that you have. But they will get incredibly stressed out, which is a huge mechanic of this game, is stress. Everything you do in the game affects your stress levels. If your stress fills up halfway because there's a bar below your health of white boxes, if it fills up completely, that's halfway, you will start developing traits of like paranoia, where, everyone's out to get you. Or you might decide, oh, well, I'm just going to, do my own moves. I'm not going to listen to what the player tells me to do. Or they might be kleptomaniacs, where if you come across a treasure chest, they'll just be like, oh, I'm keeping this. And they'll open the chest and keep everything. Despite the fact that they're your fucking character, they'll keep the shit and you don't get anything. The way you manage the stress is when you go back to town in between dungeon runs, they have, there's a bar where you could like gamble, or you could drink, you could hook up in a brothel. They have a church where you could pray. It's just different ways to relieve stress. People relieve stress by drinking. People relieve stress by having sex. People relieve stress by meditating or going on journeys. There's just different ways to reduce your stress in the game. If you put someone in, either, you put them in the bar, or you put them in to meditate, or you put them in a brothel, you can't use them for the next dungeon run. So you have to recruit more people. Or if everyone died, you got to recruit more people, and you go back into the dungeon. And it's just an ever continuing cycle of go into this dungeon, strengthen up your characters, hope you don't die, return to town, manage their stress, get new people to hold over until the other ones go. And then you have to make decisions of like, do I put all of my good party members in one party, or do I split them up to help the new ones? There is a lot of management in this game, and it just works really, really well. Now, visually, the game is gorgeous hand-drawn visuals. Everything is very sketch-like, very gothic looking, very gory, not like bloody gory, but just like, I don't know how to, grotesque. That's the word I wanted. Everything looks kind of grotesque and ugly. Not everything is prettied up and like, oh, the beautiful princess over here. Every character is fucked up in this game. Everyone has their flaws. Everyone has their weaknesses. And it's up to you to manage those weaknesses and get through the dungeons and eventually beat the game, which you could probably, if you want, you could probably play this game for weeks and never even get close because of how hard it could be and how generally off-putting the game can be at times. That said, despite how difficult this game is, if you are okay with the challenge, I absolutely recommend picking this game up, especially within the first 2 months so you get the $10 DLC for free. And if you're worried, they do have another DLC, the Shield Breaker for $4, which gives you a whole new character in the game, a fairly solid tank for the front row, which, oh god, the rows, the where the characters are placed out of the 4 people in the 4 spots dictates what actions they're able to do. Like a character who has melee attacks might only be useful in the front 2 spots. Someone who is a ranged attacker would be better off in the back. There's some things that a character can only use an ability if they're in certain spots. They can only hit enemies in certain spots. It just goes back to the management of knowing where to put everyone, what to do. But again, just $25. This is absolutely worth picking up, especially since you get the DLC for free in the first 2 months. So if you're looking for a challenge, kiss your ass goodbye and play this one. That's only way I could put it.
It's quite a way to end it.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you're going to die. You are going to die. You're going to die. A lot of people are going to die. You're going to lose a lot of people. And they're going to die, and they're just gone. You'll never get them back. They're gone. They're dead. And the next people you get are going to die too. Next game to talk about is called Switch or Die Trying, developed and published by III Interactive. It released February 28th on Xbox One for $6.99. In Switch or Die Trying, you play the character I, who has lost all of his friends being the other 25 letters of the English alphabet, and must help win them back by completing 75 highly challenging levels. Cole, tell us about this one. Is it I or is it L?
Highly? It's I.
Okay.
Get it because he's kind of self-centered and focused on himself. I. So there's one for Carnage. Hardcore platforming to the extreme. This game will very quickly remind you of like Super Meat Boy, 10-Second Ninja, those kind of speed running, trying to avoid traps and just generally not hate yourself when you fail, because you will fail. You will fail a lot. And the game very upfront about that. It will say you're going to die a lot now.
Nice.
It's very unforgiving. So the character I has been a bit of a douchebag, and now he needs to make it up to his friends by traversing these levels to get everybody back together. And each level has, well, before I get into each level, the game is broken down into chapters, and in order to start a chapter, you got to access the book that it's in. So you'll have to find the book from the hub world. It kind of looks like a library, and then you'll access the book, and then you flip through the pages to find the actual levels that you want to start, which was a really neat way to organize it all out. There are, like you said, 75 levels, and each one has a star system, which you you expect for like a mobile game, but we do see it more frequently in these kind of platformers nowadays. The first star is to just complete the level. No matter how poorly you do, just get through that shit. The second one will be to complete it in a par time, and the third will be for collecting an ink drop that is somewhere on the level.
Nice.
It's pretty basic as far as like traversing through the world when you start. And you're like, okay, this is minor. Just jump over shit and go. But it takes a turn for the ungodly difficult side very quickly. Because in order to double jump, you have to make use of 2 buttons. So typically when you're playing a game like this, A is your jump. You can attach yourself to a surface, say like in Super Meat Boy, when you like cling to the wall for a second, but you're sliding down, but you can continue to double jump and climb higher, right? Mm-hmm. You can do that same thing with I. But when you make your first jump, you then have to you jump with A the first time. And then the second jump, in order to do the double jump, you have to either press B or your left trigger. So what happens is that when you go for the second jump, I goes from being in his lowercase format to being uppercase. Or if he's already uppercase, he will switch back to lower. So there's an actual character transformation that occurs. So the jump is going to happen successfully. But it just becomes a little disorienting, and it feels unnatural to, rather than just pressing A to continue to jump, it's like, I found A and B to be completely impossible, and that may have been the whole arthritis thing at play there. At least, the trigger is an alternative for that, but just pressing A to jump, and then left trigger, or right trigger, I'm sorry, and then A, and right trigger, and A, and right trigger, just to get anywhere over and over and over. It was just very like, this is not comfortable. And I spent a lot of time just sliding down or dying miserably because I couldn't just press A again to jump when I wanted to. And I found myself falling a lot because I was trying to just continue to press A rather than pressing, B or the trigger. Other than the double jumps and the wall clinging ability, I does also have a projectile that he can shoot out. It's a little ink splot that will fly for a little while. I don't want to keep going back and fussing about the double jump. It just
besides the jump and the difficulty, any other big negatives about it, or is it otherwise fairly solid?
No, I mean, other than that, it's really creative. The worlds are really interesting. They're kind of just designed to screw you over. And that would
happens in challenging platformers.
That's the point, and that's what you're expecting, but it just is, compounded by the unnatural controls. Otherwise, it's really great. The soundtrack is just kind of mundane. It wasn't anything to like shock your world. I think I even got to a point where it's like, I've heard this song a couple of times, and I muted it to play some regular music.
Nice. So overall,
I enjoyed it a lot more that way.
Cool. Overall, $7 your verdict? Is this cheap enough for a fuck it, why not?
Yeah, it might be. Because everything other than, I'm just so hung up on that stupid control scheme. Like, why?
Well, maybe they'll go back and add different options. Is there no customization in there?
Not that I could find. I couldn't find where you could change that to be a better setup.
Hopefully they'll go in and maybe look at touching the controls, or at least giving people options to adjust it themselves.
Yeah. So I give it a pretty healthy try it at this point. If that were changed, I could easily bump it to a fuck it, why not? Because I did enjoy it, and I was really excited. Like, if you get all 3 stars, the little I character, he goes, excellent! And you're just like, I did something! And you feel so good about yourself, and then the next level just fucks you.
Nice. Well, one final game to talk about tonight is called 9 Parchments, developed and published by Frozen Byte, released March 7th on Xbox One for $19.99, previously on the Switch, Steam, and PS4. Runaway apprentice wizards seize the opportunity to complete their spellbooks by going after the lost 9 parchments. As the would-be wizards rapidly acquire powerful new spells without learning proper safety measures, it's natural their hasty progress results in plenty of deadly accidents. Cole, both of us played this one. What did you think of it?
We really did have a lot of accidents.
Yeah, we murdered each other a lot.
when the game straight up comes up and tells you that your teamwork level is Civil War, you realize you've gone astray.
Yeah, so basically this is a 4-player, I don't want to say Diablo-esque game because it's all level-based and there's no loot to it. It's an isometric action RPG. So
yeah, that's a good description.
And on top of that, it's also a twin stick, so Carnage is probably rock hard over this one as well. You choose a wizard. You choose a wizard, you start off with 3 spells, you cast spells those are your attacks. You know, the character I started off with had, what did he have? He had like an ice attack, a fireball, and then I chucked a fucking skull at people. Death
zone.
Yeah.
You had the literal death zone that you just like dropped on the map, and anything that stood there lost health, including you and your teammates.
Yeah.
Not that I ever step into the death zone, ever.
Swizzlers in the chat says, I like the colors. I marveled at the visuals of this game near constantly. You and I played this online for a good 3 hours earlier, and
all we kept saying was, it's fucking gorgeous.
Holy shit, this game is beautiful. In 4K, too, because God damn, it is a beautiful looking game. If nothing else, Frozen Byte made a gorgeous, gorgeous game.
Yeah, they really did. We were talking about the characters. You had the death zone. Your character was more attack friendly.
Yeah.
Whereas I played more of a support character. So I had the ability to heal. I could also throw a heal. Something to consider is that when you cast these spells, they don't just affect you and your teammates. They affect the enemies too. So Joe could easily throw the death zone circle that would just demolish anything that stepped in it, including me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could very easily or you were death zoning your own damn self. I could throw the heal, and if the enemies got into that heal circle, we were backtracking. They were going to get their health back just as much as we were. I think that added a really nice level of difficulty, because I didn't feel when we were playing like we were getting overwhelmed. Never, even with just the 2 of us, and this is clearly meant for a 4-player team, I never felt like we were overwhelmed to the point we couldn't progress. I mean, we died.
And the game is forgiving too. When both of us completely died, it would just randomly resurrect one of us.
Yeah. And you just have to wait for the other one to pop back.
So it's a very forgiving game.
And I mean, we were dying to dumb shit because we were looking, there's 3 chests and up to 5 quills, I believe it is, in each level. And we were just like randomly jumping off of shit and falling out of the map and into the water and drowning, just looking for stuff. And the game was just like, okay, well, put the dumbass back on the arena.
Pretty much.
Like, there was no real penalty for taking our time and exploring. There wasn't any kind of timer on the levels. We could just take our time and go through them at our own pace. And I think in all of the levels that we played, except for 1, we managed to find all the collectibles. There are the chests and the quills that I mentioned, and these are how you level up and unlock extra spells and abilities for your character. But it did kind of feel like the loot in the chests was lacking. And Joe kept saying, I want the shiny things and, give me the good shit. And we were just like, you get hats, which give you different abilities. But for the most part, we just kept getting 61 experience points. And that's such a random, odd ass number. Like, who sat down and coded in 61 points and why?
Yeah.
But that's what we got most. All that aside, the game's fucking gorgeous, and the controls.
Oh my god, it's such a beautiful game.
Like, we kept hitting each other with our lightning bolts and electrocuting each other
constantly, because everything in this game has splash damage or it can be redirected to you, even if you're the one who shot the spell or used the spell. and everything is friendly fire. There's, from what I saw, there's no way to turn it off. There's a way to change it so that instead of you taking, or instead of the person you hit taking the damage, you take the damage, or you could split it to like half and half. It's just because the game is forgiving with how you die and bringing you back, that doesn't make it an easy game, because this game will kick your ass.
I think one of the best aspects too is after you completed a level, it would come up with like a little stat screen, and it would tell you at the bottom, it would literally say the best and the worst, and you could qualify for both at the same time.
Yup.
I was simultaneously the best and the worst a lot.
Multiple times, yeah. So $20 on this one. Personally, I'm going to give it a recommended try it. And the main reason I'm going with a try it over a buy it is because it has a free trial. It has an hour trial. So fire up your Xbox, download the trial, and see if it's for you. It's not going to be for everyone. Yep. Again, it's level-based. It is not like Diablo. A lot of people were pissed at this game for not being Diablo when they never said it was fucking Diablo. So accept it for what it is, not what it isn't. And what's there is really cool. Say,
if you're going to try it, convince a friend to try it with you, because it's way a million times better with a friend. And this is something I say a lot, and I tend to be one of those people that I have one good friend I play with on a daily basis. And so I tend to be one of those people who gravitates towards wanting to play games with that friend. But this one, I played it with Joe, and then I played it solo, and I was just kind of like, it's
better with friends. Yeah. I would love to get a 4-player game of this going. But
that would be with all the splash damage and stuff, it would be insane.
It would be a shit show. Now we have to do it. We gotta find 2 more people who have this, and let's get a 4-player game going, and let's just fucking lose friends.
Yes.
But yeah, what's your verdict on it? $20.
I give it a legit buy it, because I did have fun. I think I'm more apt to say buy it if you've got people to play it with, though. If you're playing it solo, maybe check out the trial first. But if you're gonna,
it's a free trial, so try it.
You know,
like it's in the name.
I definitely.
Go figure.
But I think it's a buy it either way, because it really was a lot of fun, and it's gorgeous.
It is. Oh my god, it is so good looking. It is such a fucking good looking game. It really is. Yeah. So anyway, that's our show. Thanks again to Stevo for coming by, to Kris Huber for coming by, Mika, Adam Rippon, the figure skater, obviously not the game developer because we don't like him. And then again, massive thanks to Chris Charla for coming on. That was an absolute treat to have Chris Charla on for episode 360. Go figure.
Incredible.
So, that is it. We'll see you next episode. Enjoy the music. And Cole, do you have any final words to end the show?
Fucking no, I'm cold.
So we're gonna have a Chris, and then I'm gonna refer to Kris Huber as K-Riss.
K-Riss.